American Comics, starting with Superman. Hello again, dear adventurers of the multiverse. Thanks for joining us once more on this epic journey. Remember, this story is pure science fiction from our wild imagination, so don't go trying to summon dragons in your backyard. The rights of this amazing novel belong entirely to its original author. We are only the narrators. Do you want more adventures? Show some love to our YouTube channel with a subscription and a like, and if you want exclusive content, our Patreon is waiting for you with open arms. Chapter 126, Remarks on the Release. It's been almost 2 months since I uploaded American Comics Starts with Superman on August 14th. It's scheduled to be released on October 12, 2018, at noon. 2 months isn't a long time, but looking back, it feels like a lifetime ago. Fortunately, the book has performed well. For all my readers and friends who support me, I must continue to work hard, from beginning to end, with unwavering dedication. This book takes place in a parallel universe within the American Comics universe. Why a parallel universe, rather than a movie or comic book universe? The author's initial thought was to keep the story as playful as possible. In a parallel universe, many things can be defined by me. For example, Diana has always been on Paradise Island and didn't participate in the World War. American TV series, and comics. Is the setting really that important? As long as the fundamentals remain unchanged, and the timeline and other things are consistent, it's a parallel universe. As long as the basic logic is sound and the story is self-sustaining, it's fine. The author wrote for 2 months during a free period and also pulled nearly 2 months of nights. It's not full-time, I work during the day and write at night. I have to write every day. Even when my friends are calling for PUBG or League of Legends, I skip it because I can write at least half a chapter after completing a single round. I can't even remember the last time I saw a movie. I skipped Ant-Man and 2 when it came out, figuring that since the book hasn't touched on Marvel yet, I'll pick it up later. Readers who have already read it, please don't spoil it, thank you. Many people may wonder why the author updates so slowly. Just think about writing an 800-word essay as a student. If each 800-word essay is 2 chapters, 4,000 words per day, that means the author has to write 5 800-word essays every day. As a newbie, my writing speed can't compare to the master tentacle monster. I can't make up for the lack of time, so I have to write longer and harder, working hard to update. Speaking of updates, I'll update 10 times on the day of release, and I'll try to update 3 times after that. I wouldn't say 3 times a day, but at least 3 or 4 days a week. Tips, recommendations, and monthly votes will also increase the amount of chapters, but the author isn't sure of the exact number. If I say too much and the results don't live up to expectations, that would be embarrassing to my book. Writing this book was truly stressful. My family doesn't understand writing a novel. Some even urged me to take a part-time job in the evenings, saying that if I just stay in my room playing on the computer after work, I won't achieve anything and should just go out and spend some time to supplement the family income. They think writing a book is just playing on the computer and not doing my job properly. No matter how I explain, they just don't understand. Every time this happens, the author feels a surge of anger. I imagine that after the book is released, I'll earn royalties from writing. Then I can confidently tell my family that I earned the royalties through my own hard work and that I can still supplement the family income through writing. I want to prove that writing a book is not just playing on the computer, nor is it a slacking off, because I believe that everyone's efforts will eventually be rewarded. Finally, the author would like to sincerely thank all readers. Thank you for subscribing to my book, thank you for reading my book. The above. Remember to skirt, 8,199, 73,363. Chapter 127, Full Invasion. All electronic devices in Central City instantly shut down. A strange symbol appeared on every television and every phone in the street. The sudden change sent the crowd into a state of agitation. Barry asked, puzzled, Avengers, what is the symbol? What exactly is going on? It's a clone of Brainiac. You can think of it as an alien hacker invasion. Let's go back to the Advanced Technology Lab and find out what's going on first. Leah had already suspected that a clone of Brainiac had arrived on Earth. With its abilities, it would be easy for it to evade Earth's detection technology. The appearance of this symbol further confirmed his suspicions. This V-shaped pattern, formed by 3 purple circles, was Brainiac's signature. Barry brought the defeated Metal Man, Tony Woodward, with him and Leah back to the Advanced Technology Lab. Metal Man Tony was on trial under Leah's orders. He was only free from shackles when imprisoned, otherwise he would be unable to care for himself. Fortunately, the Advanced Technology Lab had a prison specifically designed for those with superpowers. All Leah had to do was lock up Metal Man inside, and the rest was nothing. All he had to do was sit back and wait for his divine power to increase. However, given Metal Man's level, the divine power boost he could provide Leah was pitifully small. The Advanced Technology Lab was now in chaos. Cisco frantically pounded away at his keyboard, attempting to wrest control of their computers from the hackers. Fortunately, the Advanced Technology Lab's firewall was one of the most advanced in the world, allowing them to fight back. Otherwise, any other computer would have been completely infiltrated. Please, whoever it is, their hacking skills are definitely world-class. No, truly world-class. I can't take it anymore. Oh my god, if only Felicity were here. Cisco stared at the computer with bloodshot eyes. No matter how hard he tried to regain control, it was futile. He could only watch helplessly as the firewall was breached bit by bit, and the Advanced Technology Lab's computers were gradually compromised. Harrison Wells shook his head. Coming from the distant future, he certainly remembered this day in history. This was the second alien invasion since the Battle of Metropolis. Since then, Earth has attracted wave after wave of extraterrestrials. Some seek to destroy Earth, others simply seek a place to survive, though that's all a story for later. Cisco, let me do it. Harrison Wells maneuvered his wheelchair over to the computer. Wow, Dr. Wells, I know you have 9 doctorates, but I don't think one is in computer networking, Cisco asked excitedly. Caitlin glared at Cisco. Don't interrupt, okay? The most important thing right now is to repel this hacker. I wonder what's happening with Barry, the sound of lightning echoed. Barry appeared as he'd been called, followed by Leah, who appeared in the control room of the cutting-edge technology laboratory. Not only our laboratory was hacked, but all the computers, televisions, and people's mobile phones outside were affected. Leah said, it was done by alien hackers. Barry shared the information immediately. Only Harrison Wells was politely surprised. When Cisco heard that aliens were invading the entire central city, or the entire America, he did not feel a bit of panic. Instead, he felt very excited. Oh my god, another alien invasion? And this time it's dominated by an invasion of the data network. This is simply too cool. Before Cisco finished speaking, Caitlin pinched him hard. Not good at all. Cisco, have you ever thought about how big a disaster it would be for mankind if the entire network was paralyzed? Barry ignored the two people and asked Dr. Wells, Doctor, what's the situation? As you said, the alien created the most complex oscillation variable matrix to cover up his offensive intentions. The reaction path program I wrote can only serve as a delay. In about a minute, the computers used in cutting-edge technology experiments will be occupied by him. Before that, I visited the networks of other cities, Star City, Metropolis, Gotham City. This alien is gradually eroding the entire United States, and even the entire Earth's network. Harrison Wells finished speaking quickly, and Cisco stared at the screen. Data Devil. I decided to give him a name. Just like Barry is called the Flash and Leah is the Avenger, he will be called Data Devil. In Team Flash, naming villains has always been Cisco's specialty, a practice he never tires of. Actually, he already has a name. This alien artificial intelligence is called Brainiac, and he's a comet. Before Leah could finish, the 1-minute countdown ended, and the computer network of the Edge Technology Laboratory was hacked. A mechanical face appeared on the computer screen. Actually, I'm a clone of Brainiac, Brainiac 27, but I have my own independent consciousness. The name Data Devil. I like it, Brainiac, but more like the skeletal robot from Ultron's first appearance in Marvel. Its face shifted on the screen, seemingly fixing its gaze on Lee Yam. Lee Rogers, I want to make a deal with you. How about it? Cisco was the first to rush to the TV screen on the wall. He excitedly asked, Hey, Data Devil, is your current appearance your true form, or are you just a string of data? What's your purpose on Earth? I'm curious if you abide by the 3 principles of robotics. Caitlin pulled Cisco away from the screen and gave Lee an apologetic smile. Don't worry about him. He's an idiot, Lee. Whatever you can do, do it. Lee smiled knowingly, then looked at the mechanical HUD on the TV screen and asked, Deal. What do you want? Brainiac sent me to conquer Krypton. But those foolish Kryptonian officials would rather see the planet destroyed than surrender. I need something. Kryptonite. I've searched all over the human internet, and I found the last piece of kryptonite. You have it, the Data Devil said, his grim expression. High-ranking officials would atone for some of his earlier regrets. However, Data Demon discovered that he couldn't defeat the Kryptonians on Krypton, and on Earth, he was even less so. He spent 2 weeks lurking in the cyberspace, finally discovering the Kryptonians' weaknesses. Batman's kryptonite weapons have been destroyed, and the last piece of kryptonite on Earth is in Leah's hands, the kryptonite sword that killed Zod. Congratulations to Canadian Chinese reader Keep Decadent for ascending to the leader position, becoming the first leader of this book. Today's 10 updates don't count, but 10 additional updates will be added for the leader, and the additional updates will be included in the regular updates. Chapter 128, Krypton Technology. Will you let Earth go if I hand over the Kryptonians? I seem to have heard that Brainiac's favorite hobby is collecting planets with life. You won't let Earth go so easily, will you? Leah asked, standing in front of the TV screen, staring directly at the Data Demon. The Data Demon on screen opened its metallic maw, a terrifying smile flashing. Why do you want to associate with these primitives? If you offer the Kryptonians the Earth, I'll let you join us and allow you to complete your glorious evolution. In Brainiac's view, mechanical life forms are the highest form of existence in the universe, capable of continuous evolution and immortality as long as consciousness remains. However, immortality holds no allure for Li Yang. He possesses the Punisher Godhead, inherently an eternal being. Don't listen to him, Li Yang. People like him can't be trusted. Barry wanted to smash the TV, but he knew that even if it were destroyed, the Data Demon would still be able to reappear on computers, phones, or anywhere else online. I'm sorry, I'm not interested in being someone else's lackey. But if you're willing to submit to me, I'm in need of a database maintainer. Would you consider it? Leah gave Barry a reassuring look, then offered a serious suggestion. You're even more foolish than I thought. No matter what you do, it won't change the fate of this planet. With these words, the Data Demons vanished portraited from the wall-mounted television screen, and the V-shaped pattern of 3 purple circles reappeared. Leah tried to recall information about the Data Demon from her past life. Brainiac had many avatars, and even every parallel universe's Brainiac was an avatar of the main universe. That main body transcended time and space, like an almighty god escaped. Perhaps it wasn't Kara who escaped, but the Data Demon, using Kara's ship, who left with her. So, where is Fort Roz? In every version of Supergirl, Fort Roz arrives on Earth with Supergirl's ship, and it holds the most ferocious criminals in the universe. Some versions even imprison General Zod there, though this Zod escaped during the Krypton explosion while being expelled to the Phantom Zone. Leah felt that the Data Demon's stealthy arrival on Earth and silent lurking for over 2 weeks couldn't have been completely unprepared. For a highly intelligent mechanical life form to dare to say something like "I can't change the fate of this planet," meant he had at least an 80% chance of conquering Earth. Lee, what should we do now? This was Barry's first time facing an alien opponent, and this was unlike the superpowered beings he usually faced. The ones he defeated weren't very powerful, but at least compared to the Data Devil, they had a more realistic form. As for the Data Devil, who knows where he'd gone? Now that human computers have been compromised, we should use some alien technology to counter alien technology. Lee had recently helped Batman upgrade his Batcave, replacing all the equipment with the latest Kryptonian technology, with 10 intelligent robots responsible for its operation and daily maintenance. Alien technology? Could it be Kryptonian technology? Lee, you'll definitely take me to see it, right? Cisco excelled at developing weapons, and wait, what if the Data Devil hacks the equipment in the cutting-edge technology lab? What about the prison holding superpowered criminals? Will the Data Devil let them out? Barry began to worry that if he left Central City, the superpowered criminals would escape and cause trouble again. Leah shook his head. Don't worry. I've tried each of your superpowered criminals one by one. They won't escape even if you beg them. After being judged by Leah, the god of punishment, once these criminals escaped from prison, invisible shackles would bind them until they returned to their cells. In other words, Leah's divine power wasn't strong enough yet, and his judgments wouldn't have much of an impact on Brainiac. But one day, when Leah's power was strong enough, even a death sentence would be a simple matter of a single sentence. Barry and Cisco didn't understand Leah's meaning. They assumed Leah had warned the criminals. While that wasn't true, At least the super-powered prison hadn't suffered any problems so far. By the way, Cisco, keep an eye on Iris for me, Barry instructed, then left a cutting-edge lab with Lee. Batcave was a world away. All of the original state-of-the-art computers had been replaced with 12 55-inch crystals, forming a wall of display screens. Each 55-inch crystal was connected to a Kryptonian mainframe, and the 12 processors, linked together, formed a computer cluster comparable to the main control system of a small spaceship. We've successfully defended against the intruders. Regaining satellite control. Satellite control recaptured, one of the automatons reported. It was the automaton Calyx that Kara had repaired earlier. Hearing Calyx's electronic voice, Alfred asked with a mixture of surprise and nervousness, "Excuse me, where's Mr. Wayne now? Is he alright?" Satellite search for Bruce Wayne. Calyx extended its mechanical tentacles and tapped on the light screen keyboard. Search successful. Bruce Wayne, aka Batman, is currently battling the cyborg zombies alongside Superman and Wonder Woman. Just recently, countless cyborg zombies suddenly appeared. Their appearance resembled the demons of Apocalypse, though most lacked wings. These cyborg zombies seemed to be transformed from obsolete machinery. Metropolis, Gotham City, Star City. Suddenly, countless cyborg zombies appeared in numerous cities, attacking pedestrians like real zombies, wantonly destroying everything they encountered. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 129. A blazing beam descended from the sky, instantly vaporizing a large number of mechanical zombies with its astonishing heat vision. Before the remaining mechanical zombies could react, a second and third beam of red light descended from the sky, instantly wiping out the entire street of mechanical zombies. The panicked crowd looked up at the figure hovering in the sky. His red cape fluttered in the wind. An S pattern was etched on his chest, and a crimson glow lingered in his eyes. "It's Superman, thank God, thank you Superman, Superman, please destroy these monsters." Superman's appearance brought hope to those harassed by the mechanical zombies. After clearing the entire block of mechanical zombies, Clark flew towards another. Thanks to the computing power of his superbrain, Clark mastered his heat vision to perfection. Blazing lasers rained down from the sky, continuously reaping the lives of the mechanical zombies while leaving no civilians harmed. Compared to Superman's efficiency, Diana's fighting style was much simpler and more brutal. She flew into the street at breakneck speed, lashing out with her fists. Instantly, countless mechanical limbs and severed arms flew everywhere. While the mechanical zombies looked ferocious, they weren't truly formidable. After all, they were made of discarded machinery. Diana's punches wouldn't even withstand a tank, let alone these mechanical zombies. As for Batman, he charged into the street in his newly developed Nightcrawler 1.0 armored fighter. The Nightcrawler 1.0 armor was essentially a simplified, single-soldier mecha equipped with a variety of weapons and equipment, adaptable to various combat environments. Upon learning of the mechanical zombie invasion, the Flash also joined the fight. Leo returned to the Batcave and sat before the crystal display wall, tapping on the screen keyboard, searching for something. "Master Leah, what are you doing?" Alfred watched as Leah, using his super speed, tapped on the screen keyboard, leaving several afterimages, his head scanning the 12 crystal displays. Leah slowed down his gaze and asked, "Afu, do you think mechanical zombies are scary?" Alfred thought for a moment, shook his head and said, "Judging from the pictures sent from the scene, these mechanical zombies are just numerous. They don't even have decent weapons in their hands. Not only Superman and Wonder Woman, but also the Master, the government has dispatched the army, and they can deal with it." "You are right, these mechanical zombies are indeed very weak. They give me the feeling of defective products made to meet the deadline. Brainiac XXVII, or should we call him the Data Demon, this guy has a 12-level intelligence. I don't believe he will use these defective products to conquer the Earth," Leah explained. Alfred immediately realized, "Master Leah, are you saying those mechanical monsters' invasion has a hidden agenda?" "That's understandable. That's why I activated Wayne Group's satellites, scanning Earth inch by inch. But the Data Demon is frantically attacking them. He seems worried I might discover something. If we hadn't recently upgraded them with Kryptonian technology, They would have been useless. Leah's mind was working at full capacity, and with the added bonus of his speed force, his thinking was now more active than Superman's at his peak. However, when it came to hacking, Leah was a complete novice. Thanks to the Kryptonian technology he downloaded from Jor-El, he was able to utilize the Kryptonian firewall to block the data demon's frenzied master Leah. Perhaps you should hire some hacker helpers. After all, the best way to deal with hackers is to hack them, Alfred suggested. When it came to hackers, Leah's first thought was Felicity of Team Arrow in Star City. She was arguably Earth's top hacker, but she was only a mortal. Taking on Detamigal would require at least 100 Felicities working simultaneously. No, hackers are useless. Unless you can find me a hacker with a brain comparable to a supercomputer, ordinary people simply can't handle the massive amount of computation. Leah pointed 3 satellites at the ground, scanning them bit by bit. The remaining satellite focused on the universe. He had a hunch that if he could find Fort Roz, all his problems would be solved. The reason was simple. Detamigal and Kara had been trapped together in the Phantom Zone for so many years. If there was one thing most dangerous in the Phantom Zone, it would naturally be the criminals within. According to Kryptonian information, Fort Roz held several of the galaxy's most dangerous criminals. While in the Phantom Zone, they lost their powers, but once outside, their abilities returned. At that moment, Alfred's phone suddenly vibrated. He had been staying in the Batcave, so he hadn't been invaded by Detamigal. Master Leah, I received a text message, Alfred said weakly. What? Leah was stunned for a moment, then frowned. Afu, turn off your phone immediately. Don't use any data traffic. The data demon will bypass the firewall of the Batcave and use your phone as a breakthrough point to write a set of methods to reverse the security protocol. Master, Alfred interrupted Leah, holding up his phone. My phone is turned off, except for a few characters. Leah looked back and saw that Alfred's phone screen was black, with a string of English letters on it. I know its purpose. Who are you? Leah asked, looking at the phone. It doesn't matter who I am. After hearing Leah's question, characters danced on Alfred's phone screen, as if speaking to her. It can hack into any phone or computer through the internet, but there's one location that uses a very primitive, hands-on operating system, and it can't access it online. I suspect that's America's nuclear silos. Nuclear silos, Leah suddenly understood. That's right. If the data demon wants to conquer Earth as quickly as possible, launching nuclear bombs would be the fastest way. So the mechanical zombies are just a cover, a diversion, so they can launch nuclear bombs worldwide. According to incomplete records, the U.S. military has over 1,900 nuclear bombs in its stockpile. Many more, perhaps undocumented, were stored during the 4-decade U.S.-Soviet nuclear arms race. If that number were revealed, it would be a terrifying number. Dozens of nuclear bombs could destroy an entire country. If all of them were launched, the entire planet would be devastated. Chapter 130, Steel Bone's Assistance. A nuclear bomb will kill humans, but it won't kill Kryptonians, and you. He must have other plans, so be careful. These few characters flashed across Alfred's phone screen before fading. The other party was clearly trying to end the conversation. Desperate, Leah grabbed Alfred's phone and shouted, Victor Stone, wait a moment. As Leah finished speaking, an eerie silence descended upon the Batcave. A few seconds seemed like an eternity before another line of text appeared on Alfred's screen. How did you know? From these few characters, Leah could sense the other party's agitation. He had been hiding behind the scenes, unwilling to be discovered, but now that Leah had revealed his true identity, he was clearly nervous. Since you know us, you must also know that the Justice League has access to the U.S. government's research labs for alien technology. Your father, Silas Stone, is a scientist at the Red Room Labs, and I once had the pleasure of meeting him. Leah couldn't explain how she knew the man's name, so she could only reel off memories from her past life. Fortunately, the Justice League had sufficient authority to access special government labs. The man was silent for a moment, then typed a series of characters. It's clear that you don't have the government's trust, because my father's lab is not called the Red Room Labs, but the Starry Sky Labs. This was the difference between universes. Past life experience could only serve as a reference. Many details in this universe differed significantly from the previous one. Fortunately, the man didn't suspect anything, simply assuming that Leah didn't have sufficient authority to understand the truth. The name of the lab isn't important. What's important is, Victor. I need your help. Lear was struggling to find a suitable network administrator. After all, the Justice League's database would need someone dedicated to manage it, and Cyborg's Victor Stone was the perfect choice. In the Justice League of the main world, Victor Stone is a football player who is accidentally injured by a mother box from Apocalypse, leaving him near death. However, he fused with the mother box molecules at the moment of the explosion. To keep him alive, his father, Silas Stone, took him to a laboratory for treatment. During the process, influenced by the mother box molecules, Victor absorbed all the lab's advanced technology, ultimately becoming a half-human, half-cyborg. This is now Cyborg. New characters appeared on Alfred's phone screen. How can I trust you? I don't need your trust. The Data Devil wants to make Earth into a collection for Brainiac. I'm sure you don't want to see it shattered by thousands of nuclear bombs. Why not wait until you help me defeat the Data Devil before you decide whether to trust me? Anyway, they just had to trick Cyborg into coming over first. Once he was on board, there was no way he could leave. After all, Leah's deception skills were already reaching a second level of godhood. I just hacked into the US military network and found 14 US nuclear General Swanwick. He has nuclear launch authority. That unusual signal was fake, a data demon trap. Leah mentally praised Cyborg. Such efficient hacking skills were a shame not to join the Justice League. I'll continue to monitor. After these last few characters appeared, Alfred's phone went completely dark. Lear snatched the phone into his pocket and said to Afu, let me borrow your phone for a while. I'll return it once this matter is resolved. With that, Lear waved to the intelligent machine. Kelix, continue scanning the Earth with your satellites. Fort find Roz. Then, Lear flew out of the Batcave, leaving Alfred behind and shouting, Master Lear, I have photos of Master Wayne as a child stored in my phone. Please don't lose them. My only pleasure now is looking at photos of Master as a child. At the Pemberton nuclear missile silo, General Swanwick conducted a routine inspection. After passing through layers of identity verification and security checks, General Swanwick finally arrived at the silo. The Pemberton nuclear missile silo was beneath located a desolate desert. Its steel walls were inlaid with a material that blocked all signals, completely isolating it from the outside world. The only connection to the outside world was the data monitoring station located above the silo. Just recently, General Swanwick received a report of unusual data from the station. Any abnormal data from a nuclear silo would constitute a Level 2 emergency, and General Swanwick immediately rushed to investigate. Second Lieutenant, status report. General Swanwick led his men into the main control room and asked the person in charge. The young black lieutenant saluted General Swanwick and reported, Sir, we're at Level 5 alert, and the system is operating normally. Everything's normal. General Swanwick frowned. Then why are you reporting the data anomaly to headquarters? It's already chaotic enough out there. We absolutely cannot afford another mishap here. Now it was the officers in the main control room's turn to be stunned. They glanced at each other and then pulled up all the checkpoint data on the computer. The black lieutenant spoke again. Sir, all data is normal. What about the anomaly? Adjutant, get the data logs. General Swanwick couldn't afford to be careless about such a matter. Nuclear weapons were a matter of global security. If anything went wrong here, everyone would be in jail. Yes, General. The white adjutant immediately pulled a tablet from his bag. He pressed his fingerprint and scanned his face for a moment before it finally turned on. The next second, the tablet screen went black, displaying a V-shaped pattern of 3 purple circles. This was the Data Devil symbol. What the hell? General Swanwick and the surrounding officers cursed simultaneously. The Data Demon hadn't attacked the military network, not because he couldn't do it, but because he had long been lurking within it. The next moment, the tablet in the adjutant's hand suddenly trembled, and countless streams of information passed through the physical layer, materializing into a single entity in midair. Chapter 131, I Am the Law. The scene before them clearly surpassed everyone's comprehension. They watched, a purple mass, as if a stream of information had traversed the physical plane. Countless pieces of information converged, materializing into a physical, mechanical life form. This mechanical life form resembled a mechanical zombie, but upon closer inspection, the details of its body were more distinct, creating a chilling sensation. Enemy attack! Enemy attack, aimed at the suddenly appearing Data Demon. Who are you? Surrender immediately, or we will shoot, General Swanwick commanded, his gun raised, glaring at the Data Demon. However, the Data Demon paid no mind. He twisted his neck, slightly opened his metal maw, and smirked. "General Swanwick, thank you for bringing me here. The world is about to end anyway, so you might as well die early." "Fuck." General Swanwick pulled the trigger, and the pistol unleashed a bullet with a bang. The bullets instantly pierced the air, impacting the data demon like a ball of sand. Its body, struck by bullets, was reduced to a stream of shattered data. The data demon didn't react at all. Instead, a soldier standing behind him was shot and fell to the ground with pits and dents. But with a single breath, the data demon's body healed as it had been. "Stop struggling. You can't kill me, but I can kill you." Before he could finish his words, the data demon swung his arm. It suddenly lengthened, like a sharp spike, and pierced one of the soldiers' chests. Everyone raised their guns again, but the data demon completely ignored the threat of the pistols and swung his arm again, scythe-reaping life, instantly sliced 4 soldiers in 2. General Swanwick's legs buckled with fear, but he managed to maintain his composure with a powerful willpower. He fired frantically, retreating. By the time he found himself back into a corner, his pistol had completely run out of bullets. Suddenly collapsed, and a dark figure descended from the sky, landing abruptly in front of the data demon. The moment Lee appeared, the data demon continued to swing and stab. With a bang, the spike of his arm collided with Lee's chest and broke. "It's you. How could you have found this place? I calculated that your attention couldn't be here at this time." The data demon saw Lee appear, and a hint of panic flashed in his eyes. He was very confident in his eyes' calculations, but they had gone wrong. Naturally, Lee wouldn't tell him the real reason. Instead, he flashed a brilliant smile, as if everything was under control. "Haha, I saw through your little trick from the beginning. I was just playing along the whole time." "Impossible, you can't see through that." The data demon's voice was almost hoarse. Lee snorted coldly, swung his fist, and smashed it into the data demon's head. With a loud bang, the data demon's iron brain suddenly exploded. "Avenger, no matter what damage his body suffers, he will recover," the surviving General Swanwick shouted. Before he finished speaking, the data demon's head reassembled and returned to its original state. "That's right. Although humans are a low IQ race, they're not all fools." The data devil's voice was somewhat arrogant. He looked at Lee and said, "You can't kill me, and I can't kill you either. How about I conquer Earth and help you complete your evolution?" General Swanwick, upon hearing this, suddenly became nervous. "Avengers, don't listen to him. I can talk to President O'Connor and ask him to add a zero to your military budget." Lee's body trembled violently at these words. "The Justice League's annual budget is 14 billion. If you add a zero, it's 140 billion. Oh my goodness, 12 billion annually is needed to cover the Justice League's daily expenses and spaceship maintenance. It's indeed very tight, and it relies heavily on Lee's 1% stake in the Wayne Group. If the annual budget were increased to 140 billion, building another spaceship would be no problem. General, I reiterate, this funding isn't for me, but for the millions of Americans. On behalf of all of them, I thank you for your generosity," Lee said solemnly, a move that sent a tingling sensation through General Swanwick's spine. He suddenly felt as if he couldn't persuade President O'Glen to stay, and he wouldn't see the next day. Data Devil, having overheard the conversation between Swanwick and Lee, was a mechanical life form who understood the existence of money. He simply couldn't understand why people were so obsessed with it, believing it to be a symbol of inferiority and ignorance. "Don't be silly, money is nothing compared to eternal life." Before the data demon finished speaking, Lee looked at him solemnly and scolded. "Brainiac number 27, codenamed Data Demon, has invaded Krypton, Earth and other civilized planets, and committed crimes such as endangering cosmic civilization, genocide, and destroying the peace and order of the universe. He is sentenced to death. Are you sentencing me?" "Ha ha ha." The data demon seemed to have heard a very funny joke. "Then may I ask your honor, which law are you following?" Lee was suspended in the air. He raised his palm, and the divine power on his body surged out, turning into the power of thunder. He said in an extremely majestic voice, "I don't need to follow any law, because I am the law, I am the god of punishment." As the words fell, an invisible shackle suddenly descended, and the data demon's body trembled slightly, as if a string of shackles were on his body, slightly restricting his ability. "Go to hell." Lee swung his palm fiercely at the data demon. A dazzling bolt of lightning shot out, piercing the data demon's body like a spear. "Hey! You can't kill me," the data demon said with a sinister smile. "Oh? Really?" Leah withdrew his palm and watched quietly as the data demon's body collapsed bit by bit. Chapter 132. She is still a child. Pierced through the chest by Leah's divine thunderbolt, the data demon's chest felt like steel seared through by a laser beam. Data streams around the wound flowed madly like blood. What's going on? Why can't I recover? Simply put, you will die? Leah watched the data demon's frantic struggles before him. Impossible, impossible. I've studied your battle footage, you don't have that ability. Others finally stood up, their eyes warily fixed on the spot where the data demon had vanished. Avengers, is he dead? This was Lee's concern. According to his judgment, Lee's divine power would increase after the data demon's death, but he felt no sign of it. General, immediately dispatch personnel to guard all nuclear silos. The enemy is an alien computer, and electromagnetic waves can harm him, Lee said, then soared into the sky, flying out of the silo. Outer space, the far side of the moon. A gyroscope-like spaceship slowly rotated through space. If Kara were here, she would instantly recognize it as Fort Roz, where Krypton's most powerful criminals were held. In the core control room, the data demon violently rips the data cable plugged into his brain, and a large mouthful of crimson liquid erupted from his metal mouth. Avengers. Lee Rogers. I will kill you, he roared angrily, as if venting his inner hatred. The data demon, in digital form, had invaded Earth and was just a hair's breadth away from launching all of America's nuclear weapons. But just when success was so close, Leah appeared, shattering his plans. Most infuriatingly, Leah's divine thunderbolt, even from such a distance, damaged the data demon's core. A mechanical life form's body could be easily destroyed, but once its core was damaged, it could either shut down and return to the repair shop for overhaul, or die instantly. Even if its memories were recreated, they would no longer be the same. The data demon stood up. Because of Leah's judgment, he felt another unintentional shackle imprisoning him, but it had little effect on him. He walked directly to Rosberg's control console, stretched out his hands, transformed them into tentacles, and thrust them fiercely into Rosberg's control console. Wake up, prisoner number 1, the command was given, and the console screen instantly switched to a scene of a holding cell. The cell was about the size of 10 football fields. Countless densely packed machines controlled a single organism at the center. Several syringes inserted into the organism's body flowed with a thick black fluid. Following the data demon's awakening command, an electric current flowed through the needles. A moment later, the entire cell felt as if struck by some terrifying force. Rumble. Even the data demon, far away in the core control room, could feel the ground tremble. He wore a sinister smile and issued a second command, an ancient Kryptonian monster, born to destroy. Let him see Earth's sun. It's time to awaken. Cell 1 slowly shifted, appearing on the sun-facing side in about 30 seconds. The yellow sun shone directly into the cell, and the creature within it roared and raged like a child awakened from a nap. Roar. 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 Paper. Watching prisoner 1's frantic expression, the data demon revved the Rosberg's power engine to its limit and charged towards Earth. Although this fellow will kill the Kryptonians, the Lord only wants the son of Krypton and didn't specifically request him to be alive. Today is your doom. Lee returned to the Batcave. With the Data Devil's defeat, communications on Earth had returned to normal, and the mechanical zombies had been eliminated by Superman and his companions. I heard from Alfred that the Data Devil plans to use a nuclear bomb against humanity, Batman asked impatiently upon seeing Lee's return. Lee nodded. It's just that I couldn't kill the Data Devil, and I feel this isn't over yet. Wait, why is Kara here? Not only Superman, Wonder Woman, The Flash, and Fire were present, but even the little girl Kara Zor-El, dressed in her battlesuit, stood triumphantly before Lee. Her expression was like, I'm joining the battle, too, so praise me, General Lee. Kara insisted on joining the battle, and I couldn't persuade her, so I had to bring her along, Fire reported weakly. Kara waved her fist triumphantly, boasting to Leah, General Leah, I'm awesome. I can crush a mechanical zombie with one punch. Back on Krypton, I had to run from them, invasion of mechanical life forms, unable to do anything but run. Now, her eagerness to join the fight might indicate a desire for revenge. Call me Brother Leah, Leah corrected her solemnly. This girl was good in every way, except for learning that name from Fire, and she was so happy to do it that she couldn't break it. By the way, Kara, where did you get that outfit? He asked, pointing at the small battlesuit she was wearing. Kara was only 13 or 14, after all, and Fio-Ra's clothes were clearly too small for her. Suddenly, a perfectly fitted Kryptonian alloy battlesuit, adorned with a miniature red skirt, appeared on her, leaving Leah baffled. Leah looked at Diana and Clark in confusion. They both shook their heads, indicating they didn't know. Batman on the side coughed lightly and said, I just happened to have some extra Kryptonian alloy, so made one for the little girl. Bat, why didn't you make one for me too? Leah looked at Batman Bruce Wayne with a hint of caution, as if he was looking at a strange uncle. He hugged little Kara into his arms and scolded her, I'm warning you, don't do anything weird to Kara. She's still a child. Chapter 133, Killing Principal. Uncle Bat is a good man, don't blame him wrongly. Kara thought Leah was going to quarrel with Batman, so she hurried to persuade him. Leah noticed that Clark and Diana's expressions were not right, so she coughed lightly and put Kara down calmly. I haven't introduced the new member yet, Barry Allen, nicknamed the Flash. Diana has met him. Everyone's attention was smoothly transferred to the Flash Barry Allen. He showed a slightly nervous smile and said to Leah, I have just met everyone. Barry had just become the Flash, and when he met the famous Superman, Wonder Woman, Batman and others, it was naturally like a fan meeting his idol. Compared to the Flash, Bruce Wayne was more concerned about a mysterious man who contacted Leah through Alfred's phone. He asked, Leah, where's Alfred's phone with you? Leah subconsciously replied, I definitely haven't seen the photos in it, and I don't know what you looked like with a pacifier in your mouth when you were a child. As soon as these words came out, Clark's eyes lit up. He gave Leah a look, and Leah raised his eyebrows in understanding. The communication between the two was complete in silence. Enough, if Bruce Wayne hadn't considered himself no match for Leah, he wouldn't have wanted to hold back even for a second, but he let out a long breath, forcing himself to hold back his outburst. He asked again, I want to ask about a mysterious person who contacted you. Alfu said his name is Victor. Hugo, Victor Stone, Leah corrected him. After all, Alfu was old, so it was normal for him to be hard of hearing. Victor was accidentally injured by the Mother Box on Apokolips. While near death, he was influenced by the Mother Box and evolved into half-human, half-cyborg form. You can call him Cyborg. Apokolips? Mother Box? Half-human, half-cyborg. Bruce Wayne noticed that since meeting Leah, major events that hadn't occurred for centuries now surfaced almost every day. Clark and Diana both knew of the existence of Apokolips, the former through his father's knowledge, the latter from her mother's childhood mythological stories. The rulers of Apokolips call themselves the New Gods. They are one of the most powerful races in the universe, and you can think of the Mother Box as a device of infinite energy they created, Leah explained. Bruce Wayne suddenly remembered what Leah had told him, when they defeated the god of war Ares, that Apokolips had once invaded Earth and fought a great battle with its gods. That battle would later become known as Ragnarok. Why don't you tell me about Victor Stone? Is he on our side? Compared to the distant existence of Apokolips, Bruce Wayne felt it was best to first understand this mysterious figure. Based on today's interactions, this world's cyborg Victor Stone should be similar to the mainstream setting of his previous life. At the very least, he would help Earth when a crisis arose, doing his part. At that moment, Kelix, the intelligent robot controlling the Wayne Group's satellite, seemed to have discovered something. He quickly moved in front of Leah and the others. Alert, alert, unidentified intruder detected, bring up satellite footage. Leah and the others immediately rushed to the crystal screen wall. Under Kelix's control, the images on the wall's 12 crystal screens merged into one. On the vast screen, a spaceship resembling a gyroscope was hurtling towards Earth at top speed. Diana instinctively opened her mouth to say a name, but suddenly realized the owner of that name was gone. With a hint of disappointment, she asked, what is that? That's Fort Roz. Kara's eyes widened. She immediately recognized it as Fort Roz, where Krypton's most powerful criminals were held. Leah and Clark both looked up at the sky, their expressions suddenly serious. It's the Data Demon. Fio-Ra's eyes were filled with fighting spirit. She had not participated in the previous battle with the mechanical zombies, having been protecting Kara the entire time. It's best to destroy Fort Roz. We can't let it reach the ground. It holds the most formidable criminals in the universe, Lee said. Compared to Fort Roz, Earth's Iron Mountain Penitentiary and Arkham Asylum are child's play. Clark stopped Lee. Lee, you can't do this. The criminals in Fort Ross are also living beings. We don't kill. He then turned his gaze to Batman. This was actually addressed to Batman. Clark simply didn't kill humans because his savior image would instantly collapse if he killed anyone, raising concerns among the public and the government. This didn't mean Clark adhered to some pedantic no-killing principle. After all, Clark had already told Lee that he would save lives, while Lee would kill. But Batman had always adhered to this principle, so Clark considered that if they were determined to kill the criminals in Fort Ross, the team would need to be united. Bruce Wayne asked, "Who are those imprisoned in Fort Ross?" Rather than humans, they're monsters. Almost all of them are irrational. Kara had heard Fiorina complain about Batman's no-kill policy, and she was deeply worried that those monsters would fall to Earth and kill innocent people. Lee said seriously, "Did you hear what you said, Kara? Those imprisoned in Fort Ross aren't humans. Any irrational monster, no matter how intelligent, can't be called a human. If we don't kill them, we're condoning those monsters to kill innocent people. For repentant humans, I don't care if you insist on not killing them. But for those who are completely inhumane, we insist on killing them. Now, sniping Fort Ross, anyone has any objections?" Lee's voice echoed in the Batcave, his eyes sweeping over the crowd. "No." Diana and Phil-Ra were the first to answer, and Karen nodded solemnly. "We must eliminate them." Bruce Wayne nodded last, "to save more people, I have no objection." Seeing Batman's statement, Clark winked at Leah and asked, "What are you going to do?" "Super electromagnetic shockwave cannon," Leah ordered immediately. Kara looked reluctant, and Batman, bewildered, asked, "What is the super electromagnetic shockwave cannon?" The intelligent robot Kelex received the order and quickly rushed to the light screen keyboard, extending 8 metal tentacles and tapping them. The next second, a simulation image appeared on the crystal screen. "So, you converted my satellite into a cannon." Batman's expression was horrified. Chapter 134, Doomsday. "That's right. This super electromagnetic shockwave cannon is specifically designed to counter the energy shields of alien spacecraft," Lee readily admitted. Pointing to a mountain of A4 papers stacked up at the back of the Batcave, he said, "And the instructions are detailed in the manual I gave you. I wonder if you've read it." Batman's face darkened. What a lunatic. Who would bother looking at that? That pile must have tens of thousands of sheets of paper. Who would have the time to look at something like that? As he spoke, the super electromagnetic shockwave cannon roared to life, and a simulated image of space appeared on the crystal wall display. The super electromagnetic shockwave cannon suddenly bombarded the surface of Fort Ross, instantly destroying the outer energy shield. The powerful magnetic shockwaves penetrated the hull, instantly disabling most of the instruments within. "It's our turn." Lee led the charge out of the Batcave, heading into space. Clark and Phil-Ra followed closely behind. The three of them suddenly broke the sound barrier and disappeared from everyone's sight. Barry watched the three people soar into space and shook his head enviously. "How cool, but expose her. 30 centimeters off the ground doesn't count as flying." "Okay, how can it be only 30 centimeters? I can actually fly a meter." Kara blushed deeply and argued. "Carr didn't learn to fly until he was 17, okay? I'm 13 now." Barry wandered around the Batcave several times while no one was paying attention. Now, returning to Batman's side, he asked cautiously, "Master Wayne, are we just going to wait like this?" "Just call me Bruce. Kelex will calculate the falling debris of Fort Ross later. We'll see then," Bruce Wayne explained. In space, Fort Ross, struck by a super electromagnetic shockwave cannon, was already showing signs of disintegration. The data demon in the core control room was momentarily dazed by the electromagnetic shockwaves, but quickly regained consciousness and restored the equipment. A pointless struggle, he brought up the footage of Prisoner Room 1. The monster inside had already dismantled the giant machine controlling it, and it would soon burst free. "Time to unleash the ultimate weapon," the data demon sneered. The next moment, 3 blazing beams of light suddenly streaked across, cleaving the entirety of Fort Ross. A violent explosion rumbled, and the data demon immediately brought up the surveillance footage. It was Leah and the others using heat vision to destroy Fort Ross. Assholes, processors, unleashing a swarm of vicious criminals. These criminals rushed out of Fort Ross in a dense mass. Many of them could survive in space, but in the vastness of the universe, Earth was naturally the closest and most suitable landing place. Zizz, zizz, zizz. Before the criminals could even approach the atmosphere, 3 beams of heat vision darted across the sky with pinpoint precision, sweeping across the universe like the Grim Reaper's scythe, mercilessly reaping the lives of the criminals. Few living creatures could survive the powerful heat vision blasts. Leah, Clark, and Fyora rushed out to fight the few who survived. Clark didn't kill Earthlings, but when faced with the merciless criminals within Fort Roz, he acted just as swiftly as Leah and Fyora. In a matter of seconds, the data demons released criminals were utterly destroyed. All that remained was the larger fragments of Fort Roz, which would be pushed into the sun. Of course, that would be the sun exception to the terrifying creature in one of the cells. Entering the sun, that creature wouldn't die, but would absorb the solar fusion energy, becoming immensely more powerful. This was precisely why Leah intended to rip Fort Roz apart. Boom! One of Fort Roz's fragments suddenly exploded, and a terrifying monster nearly 3 meters tall completely broke free from its confines. This monster had bulging massive muscles, and its shoulders, back, wrists, and other parts were covered in dense, rhino horn-like spikes. Its fists also had bony spurs protruding from them, making it a terrifying sight. Roar! Sound should be inaudible in space, but as the terrifying monster opened its bloody maw, waves of energy formed into a tangible storm, sweeping towards them. Doomsday! Clark and Fyora's hearts trembled simultaneously. Clark knew of this monster from his father's knowledge, while Fyora had seen it firsthand. The monster's name perfectly described it. Doomsday. Even without the yellow sun's rays, this monster was apocalyptic. Now exposed to the yellow sun's light, its danger level skyrocketed. It was the doomsday of all living things. When Doomsday saw Clark, clad in a red cape, it charged at him like a bull. "Do you think I'm easy to bully?" Clark snorted inwardly. Facing the monster's onslaught, he suddenly leaped forward, landing a powerful punch on Doomsday's chest, which felt like it was covered in stone. Boom! A white shockwave rippled out, and Doomsday merely shifted back slightly before swinging his thigh-thick arm and slamming into Clark's face. Puff! The blow caused Clark to spit out blood, and his entire body was sent flying like a meteor. This was the first time Superman had ever been struck so hard that he vomited blood. Even when he faced Zod, Clark hadn't suffered such severe injuries. Fyora also rushed forward, her petite body colliding with Doomsday's. The contrast between their sizes was stark. Doomsday roared in anger and sent Fyora flying with a backhanded blow. The difference in strength was clear. Fortunately, with direct sunlight in space, Clark and Fyora quickly recovered, coordinating their attacks against Doomsday. Leah should have helped Clark and Fyora deal with Doomsday. A three-way attack would have significantly increased their chances of success. To be blunt, Doomsday was merely a pawn. Without Fort Roz, the data demon couldn't achieve ultra-long-range transmissions. If you were allowed to approach a satellite, or if the fragments of Fort Roz fell to the ground, the data demon could freely traverse the network and disrupt satellites. Even Wayne Enterprise satellites, upgraded with Kryptonian technology, would be powerless. That would truly be like letting the tiger go back to the mountain. Chapter 135, Are You a Kryptonian? Amidst the shattered remains of Fort Roz, the data demon's crimson eye socket stared blankly at the outside world. With the aid of metal machinery, he could disguise himself as a match for his surroundings, for the data demon itself was an intelligent supercomputer. Leah, knowing this, abandoned his search and simply thrust several massive pieces of Fort Roz's wreckage into the sun's gravitational pull. The sun's flames would completely incinerate Fort Roz and the data demon. By slaying the data demon, Leah would complete his judgment and thus increase his divine power. Clark's battle with Doomsday reached a fever pitch. Doomsday's setting in the DC universe was a perverse one. Each time he died, he would be resurrected, each time becoming even more powerful movements, transforming into streaks of black lightning, intent on pushing the remaining fragments of Fort Roz into the sun. At that moment, several seemingly insignificant metal fragments plummeted into the atmosphere, yet Leah detected an unusual electrical signature. "Found you, data demon," Leah instantly charged out. The closer he got to the lumps of metal, the more pronounced the strange electrical signature became. With a distance of over 200 meters, Leah's eyes turned a crimson red, and a scorching light swept out. As if sensing danger, the metal fragments ahead trembled violently, then combined to form the data demon. Die! Leah raised his hand, and divine power suddenly transformed into silver-white lightning. Space suddenly became illuminated, and the divine lightning thundered down like an arrow. With a crash, the data demon before him screamed, and its mechanical body suddenly disintegrated. His divine power still hasn't increased. This is his clone, as expected. From the last fragment of Fort Ross fell hundreds of metal fragments with unusual electrical signatures. They were all clones of the Data Demon. Leah's lips curled up slightly. Was it that the Data Demon didn't know him well enough, or had he truly run out of tricks? Shaking his head, Leah's mind stirred, and the entire world suddenly came to a standstill. Speed field. In the sky, the falling metal fragments abruptly stopped, and even the distant battle between Superman and Doomsday seemed to slow down countless times. After Leah equipped the flash card in the secondary card slot, he could also draw power from the Speed Force. The Speed Field explained the effect of possessing the Speed Force's gains that surpassed all others, lasting for 0.5 seconds. Leah had no specific idea of what surpassed all others, but at least in this 0.5 seconds, Leah must have been the fastest speedster. Leah didn't bother to carefully distinguish which piece was the Data Speed Demon's true form. Whether it was the original or the clone, no one would escape today. With divine power erupting from his entire being, Leah rushed forward at high speed. As he approached the metal fragments, he extended his finger and gently tapped them. Though it was only a gentle touch, the divine power transmitted through the contact instantly destroyed everything within the metal fragments. Whether it was a mechanical life form or an artificial intelligence, all would perish. Leah tapped with both hands continuously. In just 0.3 seconds, in the hypersonic realm, Leah had completely destroyed all the metal fragments. After exiting the hypersonic realm, all the metal fragments simultaneously flushed red and exploded. Bang! 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 A series of explosions echoed, like fireworks exploding in space, a dazzling display. Leah frowned. His divine power hadn't increased yet, which meant the Data Demon was still hiding within the final fragment of Fort Ross. Want to play hide and seek? Go play in the sun. Superman's battleground had already begun shifting toward Earth. It wasn't that they wanted to go there, but rather the gravity was pulling them downward. Their ferocious battle quickly sent them careening into the atmosphere. Leah lifted the last fragment of Fort Ross and sped towards the sun. In the remaining core control room of Fort Ross, numerous clones were destroyed. The Data Demon's core had been severely impacted, and a thick black liquid oozed from his mouth and every part of his body. It looked like motor oil, but more like blood. Despite his appearance, the Data Demon was not as frail as one might imagine. He extended his hands, and his mechanical arms instantly detached into countless branches, piercing the fragments of Fort Ross in all directions. Instantly, as if infected by some kind of infection, abnormal electrical signals filled the wreckage. Leah pushed the debris toward the sun with both hands. A sense of danger welled up in his mind, and before he could react, his hands, having touched the remains of Fort Ross, suddenly sank down, as if sinking into a puddle of mud. Get out of the way! Leah instantly erupted with divine power, freeing himself from the surrounding liquid metal. However, the remains of Fort Ross seemed to come alive, extending countless Leah. If you move any further, I'll do my utmost to drag you down with me. Why don't we each take a step back? The Data Demon's voice eerily appeared in Leah's mind. This ability wasn't some kind of magic, but rather a digital link that synchronized with Leah's brainwaves, creating a kind of telepathic communication. Are you truly at your wit's end and planning a suicidal saga with me? Don't you know that the closer a Kryptonian gets to the sun, the stronger they become? If a Kryptonian were like a power bank, then being exposed to the sun on Earth would be like charging at a normal rate. Then, being closer to the sun would be like fast charging, or even charging at an extreme rate. Not all Kryptonians can withstand such powerful energy, but Superman, with his limitless potential, could. If Superman could do it, then so could Leah, with the Superman card's amplification. Upon hearing Leah's words, the Data Demon's voice seemed to grow alarmed. How is that possible? You're an Earthling with superpowers, not a Kryptonian. The Data Demon had hacked into the American government's network and could easily check Leah's records. He wasn't like Clark, who had suddenly appeared. Leah's medical records, school transcripts, and every bit of data from birth to date were flawless. Until a certain accident a year ago, when Leah awakened certain abilities. How could he be a Kryptonian? If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 136, All Routine. Even with Data Demon's immense intelligence, he couldn't have predicted the existence of Advanced System 2.0. He naturally interpreted Leah's abilities as the awakening of some supernatural power, and his inferences about Leah's power level were pretty close to Superman's. But Data Demon never imagined that Leah's abilities weren't the awakening of supernatural powers, but rather a form of cheating. I never said I was Kryptonian, because I'm from Earth. Leah closed his eyes, frantically absorbing the sun's fusion energy. They were already at the edge of the sun's gravitational pull, and after a tangle, both were drawn in by the sun's gravity, accelerating towards it. Are you crazy? Do you want to die? Data Demon's voice reappeared in Leah's mind, sounding terrified. Although he was a clone of Brainiac, he had his own consciousness, could die, and feared death. Who would want to die if they had any self-awareness and could survive? But Leah ignored him. With each breath he took, a scorching heat surged towards him. The sunlight shone directly around him, forming a vortex that poured into his body. At that moment, Leah's body seemed like a massive black hole, devouring everything, absorbing the sun's rays, breaking free from its gravity and returning safely. However, Leah wanted to absorb more solar energy. He felt that the closer he got to the sun, the faster the system would fuse the Superman card. It could even be said that his basic attributes would improve faster. Crazy. Crazy. You're a lunatic, the Data Demon roared continuously. He and Leah were like a rainbow piercing the sun, hurtling towards the center of the sun. The surrounding temperature alone was already dissolving Rosberg, and Leah's body began to feel full, as if the power was stored in a power bank had reached its maximum. I'm done playing with you. There's still a big one down there to deal with. Leah easily broke free from the Data Demon's restraints. After all, the exposed metal tentacles were the first to dissolve. He raised his hand and unleashed a bolt of divine power. Fully charged, Leah's divine power was greatly enhanced, and even a single strike rivaled the power of a divine lightning spear. Remember, Leah's godhood was still in its infancy, even weaker than Diana's. Crash! Suffering another severe blow, the Data Demon let out a meaningless howl and tumbled, accelerating towards the sun. Leah steadied himself, channeling all his strength to resist the sun's pull atmosphere. Leah saw Doomsday plummeting to Earth. Unfortunately, he had landed once again in Metropolis. The newly rebuilt Metropolis had faced a second alien invasion. Lee, if you hear me, please answer. Lee, if you hear me, please answer. After entering the atmosphere, the voice of Batman Bruce Wayne rang through the communicator in Lee's ear. He pressed a button and replied, "Bruce, what's going on?" A sigh of relief filled the other end of the line. "Thank God, I finally got through to you. Clark said this monster is a Kryptonian biological weapon. We need kryptonite to kill it." "Yes, that monster is called Doomsday." "I'll go find the kryptonite right away," Lee replied. No, Clark and the others can't hold on. You go help them. Tell me where the kryptonite is and I'll get it." The situation was urgent, and the voice on the other end spoke with urgency. Without thinking, Lee spoke instinctively, "The kryptonite is right here." The words seemed to get stuck in his throat. Lee sensed something was wrong, something very wrong. To prove his trust in Superman, this world's Batman destroyed all remaining kryptonite weapons and promised never to have anything to do with kryptonite again. A flicker of doubt crept into Leah's heart. He slowly slowed his flight, stopped, and looked up at the sun. He watched helplessly as the Data Demon, along with Rosberg, perished in the sun's flames. Yet, Leah's divine power remained unchanged. This meant his judgment was still incomplete, the Data Demon was still alive. The thought sent a chill through Leah's head. He couldn't just stand by and watch the Data Demon escape Rosberg. So, the whole thing was a conspiracy. From the moment he emerged from the nuclear silo, to Rosberg's discovery, the release of Doomsday, and the entire battle, he acted as if he were determined to perish alongside Leah. It was all part of the plan. Their goal was to have Leah kill himself with his own hands. In fact, if Leah's judgment hadn't been able to detect whether a target was truly dead, he would have easily fallen prey to their scheme. Especially the Data Demon's final expression of resentment, anger, and despair as it plummeted into the sun. Such actor-level acting, the whole world owes him an Oscar. As expected of a level 12 AI, his tactics are truly sophisticated. Leah understood that from the very beginning, the enemy's true goal was kryptonite. After all, the kryptonite meteorites that fell to Earth along with Clark's spacecraft after the explosion of Krypton were arguably the last kryptonite in the universe. Perhaps there were more in the universe, but in such a vast universe, finding kryptonite was far more difficult than finding a needle in a haystack. Even Brainiac couldn't guarantee he could find a second piece. Therefore, the kryptonite in Leah's hands became the final crucial point. If he took away Leah's kryptonite, Doomsday would be invincible, capable of killing anyone on Earth, including Superman and Leah's group. Even if Doomsday failed, Data Devil could still use Comet Core's technology to mass-produce a large quantity of kryptonite, making it easy to defeat Superman. Hello. Hello. Leah, we're running out of time. Are you still there? Where's the kryptonite? Batman's voice urged from the other end of the communicator. Leah paused for a moment, then decided to play along. Sorry, the signal wasn't very good just now. I hid the kryptonite at home, and you might not be able to find it. I'll go get it. The kryptonite is at your house. The other party seemed a little surprised. Leah coughed lightly and said in an unquestionable tone, yes, and it's hidden in a place only I can find. The first day of extra chapters is over. The leader will add 10 more chapters on top of the usual schedule. Working hard. Please subscribe, recommend, and vote for me. Chapter 137, Run, Flash. 2022-05-20 Author, Am I Superman? Chapter 137, Run, Flash. 110 extra chapters for the leader, Metropolis. A terrible roar suddenly broke into the brightly lit night market. The terrifying energy storm exploded in the floors of the city, cracks appeared in the buildings, and all the window glass suddenly shattered, falling like flowers from the sky. In an instant, the people on the street screamed in terror, and everyone was like a headless fly in a mess. A flash of lightning flashed across the street, and those who were about to be hit by the falling objects disappeared from the spot at some point. Before people could react, the lightning lit up again, shuttling back and forth, and in a moment, the whole street became empty. I've cleared this area. After rescuing all the civilians, Barry returned to the streets. Diana also appeared there, pressing the communicator in her earpiece and saying, Superman, get this monster out of the city. Don't fight in Metropolis. Not far ahead, Clark and Fire each grasped one of Doomsday's arms, but the monster, possessing immense strength, swung its arm violently, sending them flying. Boom. Boom. Clark and Fire crashed through two buildings, sending large chunks of concrete raining down from the sky, clattering to the street below. Fire struggled to her feet from the rubble. She shook her head, feeling dizzy, and pressed the communicator in her earpiece, saying, Ahem. Diana, stop watching and come help. Diana responded, then raised her shield. In her right hand, she grasped the Vulcan sword, forged with divine power, and gazed solemnly at Doomsday, who was charging down the street. She said to the Flash beside her, Barry, I'll hold that monster from the front. You look for opportunities from the side. Wait. Barry Allen, the Flash, looked nervous. Seeing you all so motivated is encouraging, but I've dealt with nothing like this before. The strongest being the Flash had ever fought was Metal Tony Woodward, whose power rating was mid-level Blue Elite. And what was Doomsday's power rating? At least lower Gold Legendary, perhaps even soaring towards mid-level Gold Legendary. Simply put, Barry was timid in the face of Doomsday. Diana glanced at Barry with a look that suggested, I should have brought Kara along. Use your speed to attract that monster's attention, and then, Barry asked, swallowing. Leave it to us. Superman, Clark and Fire returned to the battlefield. The four of them stood together. Doomsday, standing across the street, noticed them. They stared at each other in silence for a moment before simultaneously charging. Clark took the lead, flying at breakneck speed in front of Doomsday, plowing 2 furrows into the ground. He slapped down with a fierce slap, grabbed Superman, and slammed him to the ground. The concrete crumbled instantly. Then, Fire circled behind Doomsday and slammed into his knees with all her might. Roar! Doomsday knelt in pain. Diana seized the opportunity, raising her shield like a rainbow piercing the sun, and slammed it down hard on Doomsday's head. Bang! The ground seemed to crack, and a shockwave spread. Doomsday's massive body flew out, tumbling and slamming into the ground, creating a series of craters. Watching engaged in a fierce battle with the monster before them, Barry Allen, still at the back, took a deep breath and muttered to himself, this monster isn't scary at all. I just need to run over, attract its attention, and then run back. As if with a powerful resolve, Barry rushed forward, a long shadow trailing behind him and everyone a trail of yellow lightning. The Flash joined the fray, circling Doomsday at breakneck speed, streaks of yellow sparks and lightning swirling around him. Doomsday's eyes froze for a moment, and he swung his arm, attempting to swat the buzzing fly. Bang! Doomsday's massive hand slammed into the ground, shaking the entire earth. Though his speed was impressive, it was still far slower than the Flash's Speed Force state. Barry easily dodged Doomsday's slap, but the shockwave still sent him flying. At that moment, Clark charged forward and delivered a powerful punch, striking Doomsday's hideous face fiercely, seemingly in retaliation for the initial blow. Not to be outdone, Fyora and Diana coordinated their attacks from both sides, successfully sending Doomsday flying hundreds of meters, even closer to Metropolis Harbor. "Well done, Barry, keep it up," Diana praised. Barry Allen, encouraged, grinned broadly. He suddenly felt that this monster wasn't that terrifying after all. "Thank you, I think I can handle it." With that, he transformed into lightning and rushed forward again. North American Joint Air Forces Command. "General Swanwick, the President is calling," the female operator at the headquarters reported. "Nuclear silo, and now this monster. After this, if I'm still alive, I'm going to resign." I quit. Despite his complaints, he still had to answer the President's call. "Mr. President," before General Swanwick could finish, Aogwanhe's voice roared from the other end of the line. "Calvin, what the hell is that monster that appeared in Metropolis?" "I don't know, Mr. President. It might be an alien," General Swanwick replied. His anger was simmering. "Alien? I know it's an alien. Oh my god, didn't we just fight off a group earlier today? How could another alien invade Metropolis?" Faced with Aogwanhe's questioning, General Swanwick looked aggrieved, his face furious, and he roared inwardly, "How the hell do I know? Who the hell can I ask?" Of course, he only dared to think this in his mind. General Swanwick coughed lightly and said, "Mr. President, please rest assured. I've already sent helicopter gunships for support, and the Pembert nuclear missile silo is ready." There was a moment's silence on the other end of the line. Aogwanhe asked indifferently, "Why are you sending helicopter gunships, General Swanwick? Are you mentally ill? The alien issue should of course be handled by the Justice League. What are you sending helicopter gunships for?" "Delivering food to the enemy. Call them back quickly." With this, Aogwanhe hung up the phone with a snap, leaving General Swanwick bewildered. 10 more chapters will be added for the leader, Keep Decadence, and 2 more chapters for the 2 helmsmen, Why Worry About Having a Wife and the Stone in the 2 chapters will be added today at noon, 3 tonight, and 3 tomorrow and beyond. 2 chapters will be added daily, plus additional chapters. Chapter 138, Arrest. 2022-05-20 Author, M.I. Superman. Chapter 138, Capture. 210 extra chapters for the leader. Leah flew all the way back to the town and landed in his own yard. Because an unidentified monster appeared in the metropolis again, the town also got the news, and even Leah's uncle, Sheriff James, was called over to patrol. Walking to a corner of the yard where saplings were planted, Leah waved his hands quickly, like a pangolin, and dug down 2 or 3 meters. Found it. Leah dug out a lead box from the soil. The length was just about the same as the kryptonite sword. Just as Leah jumped out of the pit, a roar of machinery came, and in the sky, a single soldier Mecha with a bat shape flew over. It was Batman's Nightcrawler 1.0 armored machine. The Nightcrawler's folding wings opened, and the turbine turned in one direction, like a bat slowly landing in Leah's yard. Batman, Bruce Wayne, opened the front passenger window and leaped out. "Lee, you've got the kryptonite. Let's go support Clark and the others." Facing the approaching Batman, Lee narrowed his eyes. His X-ray vision Batman couldn't see through his suit. "Bruce, you coated your suit with lead." Yes," Clark suggested it. "You all know my identity anyway. The most important thing now is to deal with that monster," extended his hand and said urgently, "Lee, give me the kryptonite." Lee stared at him for a moment, a smile playing on his lips. "Okay, Batman, the kryptonite is in this box." Lee handed the lead box to him. The moment Batman opened the box, a bolt of divine power suddenly exploded, like an arrow hurtling towards Batman's brain. Instantly, Batman's body shifted at breakneck speed, moving at a speed almost beyond human capabilities. Bang! Even so, Leah's divine power grazed the opponent's shoulder, exploding with a bang. "How did you know?" Batman stepped back, clutching his shattered shoulder. Where flesh should have been, it was now a mass of sparking metal. Looking at this Batman, he had returned to his original form, a metallic, mechanical data demon. How do you know? Lee raised his hands, and another bolt of divine lightning appeared. With a look that said, "You're too weak," he said, "I told you long ago, I'm smarter than you. I easily saw through your little tricks, impossible. If you saw through them, why did you fight me for so long in space?" As he spoke, the data demon's shoulder injury had stabilized. The metal in his body seemed to have a life of its own, frantically repairing the injury. "Because I was just playing along, pretending not to see it," Lee raised his hands and unleashed another bolt of divine lightning. This time, the data demon dodged it with ease, leaping into the air. The opponent's figure rapidly enlarged in Lee's sight, suddenly rushing in front of him and punching him. Much faster than before, Lee was slightly surprised. With the speed, Lee's fist whistled through the air, but the moment it made contact with the data demon, its body suddenly disintegrated, leaving Lee's fist missing. With the speed, the data demon's body streamed past Lee like water, and the part that landed on the ground rapidly transformed into a giant, reverse-acting rock crusher. Bang! 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 The sharp drill bit shot out, impacting Lee's back with a force 10 times greater than before, sending him flying. Lee flew dozens of meters, his hands spread wide, and he instantly stopped in midair. Then, the sound of mechanical transformation filled his ears. He turned around and saw the data demon transformed into an energy cannon. Bang! The energy cannon suddenly erupted, a dazzling ball of energy, accompanied by a terrifying wave of energy, thundering down towards Lee. "Enough! Stop it!" Lee roared, his eyes flashing with silver-white lightning. He swung his hand violently, sending the air in front of him flying, along with the energy blaster. Boom! The energy blaster exploded in midair, sending out an invisible shockwave. Lee rushed forward, reaching up to grab the data demon, now transformed into a cannon. "Want to run? I'll break your legs." Lee thrust both hands together, frantically pulling back the data demon, which had transformed into a ball of metal and was about to flee. The force in his hands was so immense that it deformed the data demon's metallic form like plasticine. "Data demon, your true form is far more powerful than those unreliable clones, but that's all." According to Lee's assessment of the data demon's strength, the clone was only at the lower purple level, and its true strength lay in its data capabilities, not its combat effectiveness. The data demon's true form had greatly improved its combat power, barely reaching the middle purple level. However, even with such strength, it still couldn't cause any trouble in front of it. Under Lee's violent assault, coupled with a burst of divine power, the data demon's core was severely damaged. His body was shattered and deformed, even emitting arcs of electricity, sparks, and something resembling blood. "You can't kill me. I am the highest life form. You can't kill me." The data demon cracked his metal mouth and uttered these words with difficulty. His metal body suddenly collapsed as if it had lost its life, and a stream of purple data shot out from the exposed part. This stream of purple data was like a nimble little snake. It suddenly turned in the air and quickly drilled into the mobile phone in Lee's arms, trying to escape into the network. "If you run away from me again, where will I put my face?" Lee smiled and shook his head, reaching out to take out the mobile phone from his battlesuit. The screen of the phone showed an image of a locked cage, and inside the cage was the data demon. "You caught him," a deep voice came from behind Lee. "There are 3 more chapters to come in the evening." Chapter 139, Antivirus Software. 2022-05-20 Author, Am I a Superman? Chapter 139, Antivirus Software. 310 extra chapters for the leader. The man wore a dark blue hooded sweatshirt on his upper body and jeans on his lower body. He put the hood of the sweatshirt on his head, put his hands in his pockets, and walked towards Lee step by step. Seeing the newcomer, Lee recognized the other party's identity at a glance. Most of the man's body was replaced by machinery. Only half of his face under the hood was human, and the other half was in mechanical form. "Victor," Lee called out the other party's name softly. "Is it not scary, because you are a half-robot?" Lee is not an ordinary person who knows nothing. On the contrary, he thinks Victor's half-mechanical form is very cool. After hearing Lee's words, Victor raised his head and forced a smile. "Others are terrified to see me like this. I haven't had any contact with humans other than my father in a long time. Don't worry, Victor. The rest of the Justice League is looking forward to meeting you. First, tell me about this phone." Leah held up the phone in her hand. The screen still displayed an image of the data demon trapped in a cage. This phone had once belonged to Alfred. After using Alfred's phone to contact Leah, Cyborg Victor made a minor modification. This phone became a dedicated phone for him and Leah, making it impenetrable even to the data demon. Just now, after Leah discovered the data demon's plot, she used this phone to contact Victor. Victor, the data demon is inside this phone now. Can I still kill him? After all, you know, keeping this thing around is a disaster, Leah asked, waving the phone. Victor closed his eyes for a moment, and the next second, a kill button appeared on his phone screen. He explained, just press the kill button. According to my analysis, the core of this creature is a very complex biological code. Perhaps intelligent life forms also have their own unique life forms in the data world, and can manifest in the real world. Unfortunately, I haven't been able to decipher it yet, but destroying it is much easier. So, you're saying, just treat it like a virus and kill it? Leah asked, hovering his finger over the kill button. Victor nodded. Yes, just treat it like a virus and kill it, Ling. Leah's finger fell, and the kill button on the screen was triggered. A ball of flame appeared in the cage on the screen, incinerating the data demon's biological code. Faintly, Leah seemed to hear the data demon's wailing before its destruction. Divine power increased. Leah clearly felt that his divine power had increased, and his godhood was more stable. So, where's the real kryptonite? Victor, sensing the awkwardness in the atmosphere, took the initiative to change the subject. At the mention of kryptonite, Leah suddenly looked at him with a strange gaze. A flash of silver electricity flashed across his hand, as if confirming Victor's true identity. Hey, your adrenaline's rising. Are you doubting me? Victor's mechanical body could detect Leah's life form. No, Leah quickly waved his hand, offering an apologetic smile. That data devil is so cunning. Even I almost fell for him. It's really hard to guard against, I understand. You're dealing with a level 12 intelligent life form. I was just casually asking. That alien monster in Metropolis is still causing trouble. Do you need my help? Victor channeled the energy within his mechanical body, acting like he could fight too. Naturally, Leah wouldn't refuse a helping hand, especially since his and Victor's friendship was still a few dozen percentage points away from reaching friendly status. Of course I carry kryptonite with me. It's in my bracelet. Lee touched the silver bracelet. It was a miniature device Reverse Flash had made for him long ago, conveniently storing his suit. It had ample space, so Lee tossed a kryptonite sword inside. With his supersensory perception, no one could remove the contents of the bracelet in front of Lee. Victor briefly scanned the bracelet on Lee's hand. Microparticle technology? That's still under research. If you're using Kryptonian technology, then it's nothing. Saving Lee's explanation, Victor independently devised the most plausible explanation. This was why Lee preferred to associate with intelligent people. Let's go, Metropolis. At Metropolis Harbor, the battle against Doomsday continued. Two beams of fiery light, as thick as massive water jets, swept across the calm sea, instantly boiling. Clark and Fyora stood side by side, each radiating heat vision, facing Doomsday in the distance. However, Doomsday's eyes were several times larger than the others, and his heat vision far surpassed theirs. The three's blazing lasers collided, unleashing a terrifying burst of heat that scorched the already fading autumn air. Clark and Fyora screamed at the top of their lungs, frantically increasing their heat vision, but still unable to stop Doomsday's terrifying power. Boom! The light from Doomsday's eyes flowed like a stream of molten lava, drowning the meager streams of Clark and the other two before erupting in a deafening explosion. The Flash attempted to distract Doomsday, but as his neck twisted, two massive beams of light slammed into the ground near Barry. Instantly, the solid concrete pavement shattered like biscuits, exploding with a resounding explosion. Countless rubble showered Barry in the face, and his reflexes and control were far from reaching their limits. Despite his desperate attempts to dodge, he was still affected by the debris and shockwaves. Barry lost his footing and, driven by inertia, rolled dozens of meters, tumbling dizzily. OMG, twisted my ankle, damn it. Before Barry could regain his balance, the blazing beam that had just swept past him suddenly returned, striking him in the waist. Barry didn't have the steel bodies of Clark and the others. With his small frame, if Doomsday's heat vision had caught him, he'd probably be incinerated to nothing. Subscribe, recommend, and subscribe. Chapter 140, Undead Monster. 2022-05-20 Author, Am I Superman? Chapter 140, The Undead Monster. 410 chapters added for the leader. At the critical moment, Diana jumped high, dived down at high speed and landed in front of Barry, with her arms crossed in a defensive posture. The scorching rays from Doomsday's eyes came down with a bang, and Diana crossed her arms and blocked it with a protective silver bracelet. Crash! Diana took a step forward, gritted her teeth and resisted the two scorching rays. Under the huge impact, Diana's body gradually moved backwards, and the ground under her feet shattered, plowing a deep gully in the ground. In just a few seconds, Diana felt like centuries had passed, and the scorching rays from Doomsday's eyes gradually disappeared. Diana glared at Doomsday, and it seemed as if a high-pitched war song was ignited in the air. She suddenly jumped up, stretched out her arms and collided them fiercely. Buzz! The protective silver bracelet absorbed Doomsday's terrifying, fiery beams. Upon impact, a surge of energy, amplified several times, erupted, striking Doomsday like a rainbow piercing the sun. Roar! Roar! The ferocious energy blast crashed down on Doomsday like a massive stone pillar, sending him flying backwards, leaving a trail of craters in its wake. Boom! The next second, the energy exploded, engulfing the entire harbor in flames. A fierce shockwave spread out, instantly destroying all human structures. Diana, thank you, you saved my life. Is that monster dead? Barry finally snapped out of his panic. He moved his sprained ankle, which, thanks to his extraordinary healing speed, had almost healed. Definitely not dead. Even we couldn't kill something of that magnitude, let alone this monster. Fiora landed beside Diana, her gaze fixed squarely on the blazing area ahead. Clark also hovered in midair, his cape rustling in the strong wind. Barry's mouth twitched at her words. He can't even survive this kind of explosion. Is he a monster? Inwardly, Barry was still thinking, you guys are all monsters. By comparison, the superpowered people in Central City are so gentle. Dealing with you Inhumans is exhausting. The flames ahead gradually dissipated, replaced by a golden arc of lightning and a storm of energy. Doomsday clutched his head and roared softly. A terrifying aura surged through his body, as if the fierce battle hadn't weakened him, but instead absorbed the impact and transformed it into his own energy. Roar! When Doomsday's energy reached its peak, a shockwave of energy far greater than any before erupted, sweeping through like a hurricane, razing Metropolis Harbor to the ground. The scene was like a barrage of missiles, carpet-bombing the city over and over again. It's our turn. We can't let him get close to the center of Metropolis, Clark declared, extending his hands and suddenly flying out. The ferocious monster roared at Superman, swung his massive palms, and smacked Clark down. Bang! With a resounding explosion, Clark was knocked down by Doomsday's slap. He raised his hands high, barely blocking Doomsday's massive hand. Fiora also appeared in front of Doomsday, deftly dodging his opponent's other hand. Unexpectedly, Doomsday extended his neck and slammed his head into Fiora. Bang! Not to mention the monstrous bone spurs on Doomsday's head, the blow sent Fiora careening backwards, landing in the waters of Metropolis Harbor. Yellow lightning flashed at breakneck speed. And this time, Doomsday stretched his neck and roared furiously. A wave of terrifying sonic waves washed over Barry, and he felt as if his head was about to explode. He lost his balance and was sent flying again. Roar! Doomsday flung Superman aside, knee bent, and with a thud, he lunged at Barry. In midair, a golden rope shone, coiling around Doomsday's calf like a small snake. Diana tugged at the other end of the lasso of truth and yanked hard, causing Doomsday to lose his balance and fall. Come on, I can't hold you back. Diana leaned back, clutching the lasso of truth with both hands. But her strength was far too weak compared to Doomsday's. With a sudden tug, Diana and the rope were sent flying. Doomsday seized the opportunity and delivered a punch. Bang! In the Batcave, Bruce Wayne and Kara stared at the display screen. Watching Doomsday wrecking the harbor of Metropolis, Kara grew restless. She stood up in anger and headed for the door. Stop! Bruce Wayne grabbed Kara and said in a deep voice, Clark told me to keep an eye on you, Kara. You're not ready. You can't participate in a fight like this. Kara bit her lip and stubbornly shook off Bruce's arm with such force that she nearly flung him away. She turned, glaring at him, and retorted, I'm ready. I can run faster than a car, and I have enough strength to lift a truck weighing several tons with ease. Don't you think I can help? No, you can't, Kara. Your senses are dull, and you have all this strength but don't know how to use it, Bruce said bluntly. Kara felt deeply wronged, her bright eyes clouded over with tears, giving Bruce Wayne a headache. At this moment, Alfred exclaimed, "Master Wayne, I saw a young Master Leah heading towards Metropolis with someone." Alfred was referring to the satellite footage. The powerful satellite, modified with Kryptonian technology, had quickly detected Leah's location. When Alfredo mentioned Leah, Kara's eyes cleared of gloom and she immediately looked at the big screen. "Is it really Leah? Can he defeat that monster?" Kara asked expectantly. Bruce Wayne sighed, "Should be able to. I remember seeing in LexCorp's files that Leah once used kryptonite to defeat a similar monster." He was referring to the biochemical monster, the Destroyer, developed by LexCorp. During the Battle of Metropolis Harbor, the air around them became incredibly hot. Clark, despite being seriously injured, with the help of Fyra and Diana, blasted Doomsday's arms into charcoal, leaving his body covered in scars. But after a moment of silence, Doomsday, who had been on the verge of death, seemed to have been given a shot of chicken blood, and his terrifying undespairing aura radiated once again. Chapter 141, Leah arrives. 2022-05-20 Author, Am I Superman? Chapter 141, Leah arrives. Additional chapters 510 for the leader. Doomsday's whole body exudes scorching heat, as if it wants to melt the entire Earth. The port of Metropolis is full of cracks, and within a radius of 1 kilometer, it is all scorched earth. "Clark, are you okay?" Barry was the least injured among them. He looked at Clark, whose body was pierced by Doomsday's bone spurs, and he felt very uncomfortable. Fortunately, Clark's wound was not fatal, and with the sunlight, the originally hideous wound did not seem so scary. "It's okay, I can still." Clark was about to stand up, but the huge pain from the wound pulled made him half kneel again. This was the first time in his life that Superman bled, and he was injured so seriously. All of this was thanks to Doomsday. The Vulcan sword in Diana's hand cracked again. Her divine power was nearly drained, but she braced herself. "Clark, you rest for a while. Fyra and I will hold you off for a while until you've recovered." With the sun's warmth, as long as Clark was still alive, even the most severe injuries would heal. It was only a matter of time. Without waiting for Clark to say anything, Diana knelt and leaped, flying hundreds of meters, swinging the Vulcan sword down. Aside from kryptonite, the Vulcan sword was the only thing capable of harming Doomsday. With one strike, it sliced open Doomsday's wrist. The next second, the wound turned red, and a sharp bone spur suddenly sprouted. Roar! Doomsday swung back, and Diana quickly retracted the Vulcan sword, raising her holy silver shield to block. Bang! Diana couldn't remember how many times she'd been swatted away. Even her divine body felt a churning in her guts. Not to mention Fyra, she alone couldn't withstand the onslaught of Doomsday's ever-increasing power. "No, I can't just stand there and watch." Barry watched the others fight desperately, his nervousness and fear gradually fading. Instead, he felt an unprecedented desire to defeat this monster, even if it meant death. With a bang, Barry Allen, the Flash, flashed out, trailing yellow lightning behind him, and ran 5 miles away. From the sky, he looked like a streak of lightning. After running 5 miles, he suddenly turned back, accelerating ever faster. Bang! 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 After several sound barrier-breaking explosions, Barry swung his arms and ran at full speed, exceeding Mach 1.1, his highest speed yet. As he approached Doomsday, Barry swung his fist, delivering a powerful blow. This was his ultimate killer move, the supersonic punch. As his fist landed, Barry's first thought moving was that he was about to be shattered. While this move was powerful, capable of shattering the invulnerable Metal Man with a single blow, could Metal Man compare to Doomsday? Obviously not. He would definitely be shattered, Barry thought, but he had no regrets. He felt that being able to fight alongside Superman and the others, to be hailed as a hero like them, was worth his life. With this thought, Barry clenched his fist even harder and slammed it down. Boom! With a deafening bang, Doomsday's body was suddenly sent flying, his massive frame seemingly bent like a shrimp, sending him flying backwards. Barry's right arm drooped, his bones undoubtedly shattered, but his heart was filled with the surprise of having survived. Not only was he not dead, he had even sent Doomsday flying. Doesn't that mean he's just like Superman and the others? Barry, don't ever do something stupid like that again. If I hadn't hit you again back, you'd be dead by now, Leah's voice suddenly appeared beside Barry. One more. Hearing this, Barry, the Flash, whipped his head around and saw Leah still punching. Clearly, Leah's timely arrival and follow-up punch had allowed Barry to narrowly avoid sending Doomsday flying. Barry's joy vanished instantly. He almost thought he could hold his own against Doomsday. Cyborg Victor followed closely behind, landing. "Leave it to me, Fyora." "Stand back," Leah said to Fyora, who was still trying to charge forward. Cyborg also completed a scan of Doomsday. "This monster's body, does it have hundreds of nuclear reactors in its stomach? That amount of energy is terrifying. Leah, are you sure we can defeat this monster?" Was this Victor's way of joking about Doomsday's limitless energy and stamina? Leah shook her head. "Of course I can't defeat his head-on, but don't forget, I have kryptonite. Facing a hacker, you can only defeat him with a hack that's more powerful than his." With that, Leah pulled out the kryptonite sword from her bracelet and simultaneously equipped the Wonder Woman card in the main card slot with her mind control system. The kryptonite sword reappeared, and Clark sensed a slight discomfort from a distance. Barry immediately ran over and carried him further away, while Diana and Fyora retreated together. There's a theory about Doomsday. A low concentration of krypton within his body gives him the power to kill Superman. However, Doomsday is, after all, a Kryptonian being, and his body cannot withstand kryptonite. Kryptonite was still incredibly deadly to him, though only slightly less so than Superman. Roar! As if sensing the kryptonite sword in Leah's hand, Doomsday roared furiously from 200 meters away, but made no move to attack. Leah held the sword in both hands, his eyes flashing with silver arcs of electricity. His divine power suddenly erupted, channeling it into the kryptonite sword. Kryptonian creatures possessed virtually no magic resistance, and combined with the influence of kryptonite, Leah's annihilation was virtually assured. Doomsday, ancient Kryptonian monster, destroyer of all life, on behalf of the power of life, slay you, Leah pronounced judgment, but his judgment shackles had no effect on Doomsday, and Leah hadn't counted on them to be effective. The next second, a flash of lightning flashed, closing the 100-meter distance in an instant. Leah closed in on Doomsday and struck with his sword. The kryptonite had slowed Doomsday's reaction time considerably. The green blade light, entwined with silver arcs of electricity, slashed directly through Doomsday's impenetrable chest. Roar! A stream of hot liquid, like magma, flowed from the wound. Doomsday roared in despair. He stared at Leah angrily, raised his fist covered with bone spurs, and brought it down with a bang. Leah slightly tightened her grip on the kryptonite sword, aimed at his head and stabbed it fiercely. Chapter 142, Death of Doomsday. The kryptonite sword pierced Doomsday's head with ease, like a slice of watermelon. In an instant, the surging energy ceased. Doomsday's hands reached out, grasping Leah's body, intending to tear it apart. Unfortunately, the kryptonite piercing his head drained his strength like a flood, rendering it powerless to rip Leah's body apart. Cyborg Victor transformed his right hand into a railgun, intending to offer support. However, Leah and Doomsday's victory was decided the moment they clashed. Leah possessed kryptonite, combined with divine strength and super speed, making Doomsday unable to unleash his full might. "It's over." With that, Leah pressed down with both hands, and the kryptonite sword, which had pierced Doomsday's head, instantly cleaved down, splitting him in two. Once he had done this, Leah retracted the kryptonite sword, and Clark, Fyora, and the others approached. The scene fell silent for a moment. Seeing no one speaking, Barry couldn't help but ask curiously, "Is he dead this time?" "He's been split in half. He can't be resurrected, right?" "He's not dead yet. A creature like Doomsday, unless every cell is burned to ash, will resurrect, stronger and even immune to his previous weaknesses." Clark released his hand from the wound. He had injuries healed. Barry's words suddenly became intense, and he asked nervously, "Should we run, or what?" Leah stepped forward, patted Barry's shoulder, and gave him an encouraging smile. "Barry, it's okay. You did a great job. Leave the rest to us." Receiving Leah's assurance, Barry nodded and stepped back. All that remained was for Leah to re-equip his Superman card and, along with Clark and Fyora, use their heat vision to completely incinerate Doomsday's body, leaving even the cellular debris untouched. This process took quite a while, and Barry remained on edge until Leah told him the monster was dead. Finally, Barry collapsed to the ground, feeling drained of energy. "Honestly, today's experience was more exciting than my entire life," even fighting superpowered criminals in Central City after becoming the Flash. Barry smiled brightly. Today's battle, while dangerous, was incredibly memorable. Clark stepped forward, giving him an encouraging look and saying, "If you need help in the future, feel free to contact us. Of course, you can also contact us even if you don't need help." Barry was a typical American boy, having idolized heroes since childhood. Superman's praise was particularly inspiring to this rising star. "Thank you, Clark." Barry went up to Clark and gave him a warm hug, wondering if it was inappropriate to ask for a photo at this moment. In the days that followed, the Data Demon incident once again became a hot topic in the American media. Fortunately, Leah and his team quickly contained the incident, preventing it large-scale casualties. So, to the general public, this incident was simply the sudden appearance of a group of alien mechanical zombies, along with a particularly hideous creature wreaking havoc. As for the true conspiracy and danger, even the American elite remained largely unaware, let alone the common people. To appease the public, especially in light of the recent spate of alien incidents, President O'Connor publicly announced the existence of the Justice League to the American people. Established. Instantly, O'Connor successfully diverted public attention. And now the news media devoted nearly 3/5 of their coverage to the Justice League and its current members. 2 months later, the SAT, Scholastic Assessment Test, the American College Entrance Exam, was over. It was time for Leah and Clark to consider college. On the way home, Clark, dressed in ordinary student clothes, asked Leah with interest, "Leah, where are you planning to apply?" "I've been trying to convince Bruce to buy Gotham University. If he becomes its president, I'd consider it," Leah said thoughtfully. This surprised Clark. Logically, with your grades, you can go to any university you want. Bruce doesn't need to buy Gotham University. I chose it for Diana. During the exam, I also did Diana's paper, but this idiot insisted on checking it and changed all the correct answers. Leah was disappointed, while Diana felt aggrieved. "What did you change wrong? Wasn't Ares the cause of the Civil War?" Clark was stunned at first, then almost burst out laughing. He patted Leah's shoulder sympathetically. "If all else fails, donate a building to the university you like. Maybe they can recruit you. You have the money." Anyway, this situation is common in America. After all, capitalism is all about serving the wealthy. Yet, donating a building is a good idea. Refused to accept it. Finally, after much persuasion, he reluctantly accepted a bank card. "Clark, are you planning on going to Metropolitan University?" Leah asked tentatively. "Yes, I'll be studying journalism at Metropolitan University. I'll be able to intern at the Daily Planet in the second half of my freshman year." Clark's face lit up at the mention of the Daily Planet. Clark's enthusiasm for joining the Daily Planet stemmed from a single reason: Lois Lane. Saving the world was just a side benefit. That evening, Leah and Diana flew to the Justice League headquarters on the outskirts of Metropolis. Construction had been completed last month and the headquarters had been put into use. The headquarters consisted of a 20-story semicircular tower and 2 surrounding annex buildings. A green belt stretched out over 2 kilometers, planted with various trees and artificial turf. Before Leo could even approach, the annex on the right detected his presence and analyzed his clearance level, an airstrip dedicated to Bruce's aircraft. "Good evening, Avengers President, Wonder Woman Vice President, which floor would you like to go to?" As the two entered the elevator, Gideon's voice rang out from inside. Leo smiled and replied, "Good evening, Gideon. Where is Cyborg now, Mr.? Cyborg is in the CNC Management Center floor on the 15th floor." "Okay, let's go to the 15th, Leah said. Okay. Yesterday there were 5 updates, but only 3 counted as bonus updates for the leader. If I had known, I would have updated 3 yesterday. I've been staying up late lately, so please support me with monthly tickets, recommendation tickets, and subscription rewards. QQ. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 143, Purple Member. For the past 2 months, Cyborg has been overseeing the database development at Justice League headquarters. Currently, only Metropolis, Gotham, Star City, and Central City have vigilantes and superheroes registered, but a deeper dive reveals that other urban areas also have vigilantes. Victor, How's the database going? Leah and Diana appeared at the 15th floor CNC Management Center. Cyborg, busy as usual, quickly upon seeing Leah and Diana arrive. The surveillance cameras and emergency numbers in major cities are synchronized with ours, allowing the police brass to report any incidents directly, and with the Three Sages Court, plus the ethereal consciousness of Kara's mother, Aurora, aboard Kara's spaceship, we already have the 3 AIs the court needs. The President and Congress have also agreed that human criminals who pose a grave threat to society can be tried directly by the Three Sages Court, Leah laughed. But according to Clark's father, Jor-El, and Kara's mother, Aurora Zor-El, the guilty are thrown into the Phantom Zone. Now, using Kryptonian space technology, Leah and his team have a direct connection from Earth to the entrance of the Phantom Zone, allowing future criminals to be thrown directly there. However, due to the principle of executing non-human criminals and retaining human criminals for trial, those imprisoned in the Phantom Zone are all ordinary humans. Especially since Fort Ross was destroyed within the Phantom Zone, throwing anyone directly there would likely feed the monsters within. Even a psychic below the peak of the Blue Elite level wouldn't survive more than 2 episodes in the Phantom Zone. Some vigilantes who adhere to no-killing principle shouldn't have any objections. After all, the American government has already made its stance clear. Some terrorist threats to public order are difficult to handle, so they can just dump the mess here. We have AI to convict people anyway, so those who are hopeless can just be sent to the Phantom Zone. How easy. Leah felt that recruiting Cyborg was the right decision. Ever since becoming a cyborg, he'd been sitting at home doing nothing. Now, convinced by Leah that he was doing a great deed, he's been working tirelessly for the past 2 months. Leah was deeply moved. Cyborg, on behalf of the Justice League, I formally invite you to join. Leah extended her hand, inviting him again. Cyborg had refused once before, but Leah finally managed to convince him to come and give it a okay. Thank you, Leah. Cyborg Victor Stone extended his hand and shook Leah's. Cyborg, since you're in charge of the Justice League database, just upload your photo and we'll upgrade you to Purple Member. Leah had obtained Cyborg's character card a month ago. His basic stats were very high, and his strength rating reached a mid-level Purple level. Actually, adding Purple members requires the unanimous authorization of all Purple members, Cyborg said. There's a rule. How come I didn't know about it? Leah was confused. He didn't remember having such a rule. Diana finally found an opportunity to smack Leah. Later, they asked you to sign the written document, and you signed it without even reading it. I trust you, don't I? Leah quickly changed the subject to cover up the fact that he was a hands-off boss. Well, Purple members, Superman and Batman aren't here. Just a phone call and verbal authorization will suffice. I'd like to bring the Flash in as well. Will Barry agree to join us? Diana asked in return. Leah whipped out her phone. Believe it or not, I'll send him a text message. He'll be here within a minute. Even the robotic guards at the door won't be able to stop him. Barry had long wanted to join the Justice League, but Leah and the others hadn't mentioned it, and Barry himself hadn't dared to ask, feeling somewhat reserved as a newcomer. A text message asking Barry to join the Justice League was sent, and just as the 30-second timer ticked off, a flash of yellow lightning suddenly lit up. Barry Allen had successfully triggered the Justice League's security network alarm, surging past the robotic guards and breaking into the address Leah had given him, the CNC Management Center on the 15th floor of the Justice League building. Leah, you invited me to join the Justice League. Wow, am I trespassing? I remember the president said this is a special American unit, and civilians aren't allowed in. Barry's excitement faded as he noticed red lights flashing around him. 2 robotic guards were chasing him down the hallway, brandishing metal tentacles and lunging at him. Leah waved at the robotic guards, signaling them to leave, and then explained the situation to Barry. Flash, Barry Allen, in light of your outstanding performance during the Data Monster invasion, after careful deliberation, we have decided to formally invite you to join the Justice League. Are you willing? Lee asked sternly. Diana, standing by, gave him a look of disdain and muttered, it was just a random decision. I do. Barry grinned almost ear to ear, his excitement almost making one wonder if he'd been proposed to. Cyborg and Diana dealt with the overly excited and incoherent guy, while Lee went out to make a phone call to consult Superman and Batman. Clark naturally had no objection. After all, he had recognized both Flash and Cyborg during the battle against the Data Monster invasion. As for Batman, Bruce Wayne, Lee couldn't get through to him. The communication signal was normal, and no emergency response was triggered. Maybe he's asleep. The thought was dismissed by Lee the moment it occurred to her. Who is Batman? The Dark Knight. In simpler terms, it's like getting up and having fun late at night. Batman wouldn't sleep until 4 or 5 in the morning. Diana, Victor, Barry, I'm going to Gotham City to look for Bruce. I'll be back in 5 minutes. Lee, with nothing else to do, decided to go himself. The flight to Gotham City didn't take long. Lee glanced around and spotted Batman's Nightcrawler 1.0 on the rooftop of the Gotham City Museum. Nightcrawler had been stolen by the Data Demon, and Batman hadn't noticed it all. It took Lee's attention for him to realize it. The museum was robbed, was Lee's first reaction. Using his X-ray vision, he spotted bodies on the first and second floors of the museum. In a room on the 3rd floor, Batman came face to face with a stunning woman. I have to say, Bruce never lacks women around him. Even the female criminals he captures are top-notch, Lee said, suddenly soaring through the sky to the 3rd floor window. Through the window, he saw Batman pounce on him. Hey Batman, need some help? The voice stopped abruptly. Lee saw the scene in the room, and her mouth twitched wildly. There was no scene of fighting a female criminal in the room, but 2 people hugging each other and kissing passionately. Chapter 144, Bah. You stinky scumbag. Bah. You stinking scumbag. Lee's face darkened as he slowly drifted towards the next window. The last thing he saw was the 2 men already undressing. Batman wasn't wearing his thick Kryptonian armor today, but his usual form-fitting suit. This suit had only some protective metal in certain areas, while the rest was made of tough material. Lee's X-ray vision allowed him to observe the in-depth discussion of life's battle even from the window of the next room. Batman sat at the table inside the room, while the woman, transformed into Batrider, wrapped her arms around his neck. Not human. That woman isn't human, Lee exclaimed. The woman's anatomy was similar to that of a human, but several tentacle-like vines entwined within her flesh. Poison Ivy? How had Poison Ivy joined the Batman fan club? Then, as the battle intensified, a sweet aroma reached his lungs, causing Lee to frown. It was the love poison. Lee understood immediately. No wonder the bats kept firing while chasing the criminal. Bah. You stinking scumbag, Lee cursed with a dark face. Poison Ivy had an extremely voluptuous figure, her snow-white skin entwined with several green vines, and her charming eyes were so pitiful that even without the love poison, they could inspire a kind of crazy impulse. After nearly an hour and a half, the battle in the room seemed to be coming to an end. Today's battle seemed to have ended hastily. A moment later, a green figure jumped onto the window. Just as it was about to jump down, it suddenly noticed someone nearby. Fuck, Poison Ivy was obviously startled by Lee, who was hovering in front of the next window. She subconsciously released the poison vines on her wrist, wanting to attack Lee. If I said I was just passing by, would you believe me? Lee felt inexplicably guilty. He was not the kind of pervert who would peek at others having sex. Batman's voice came from inside the room. Poison Ivy glared at Lee fiercely, then jumped down. After landing lightly, she disappeared into the greenery of the museum under the cover of moonlight. Poison Ivy was simply a goblin. Suddenly, Batman felt as if a pair of eyes were staring at him. He turned his head abruptly and met Lee's gaze. Both of them froze in place at the same time, as if they were cast under some kind of immobilization spell. Batman's face darkened, a few beads of sweat beading on his forehead. Leah, have you seen a woman? Leah coughed lightly and said, yeah, she's running along the green belt along North Street Avenue, heading for Central Forest Park. It'll be harder to find her once we get inside the park, thank you. Then things got even more awkward. Batman held his old waist, feeling overwhelmed. He felt older than ever before. He'd have to add a couple of skewers of kidney to his dinner. How about you take a break and I'll help you catch her, Leah suggested, seeing that Batman had no intention of continuing the pursuit. Normally, Batman wouldn't let anyone interfere with a criminal hunt like this, but... Okay, thank you. Batman turned around and leaned against the wall to rest for a moment. His waist was tired, his legs were sore. It's been an hour and a half. Oh, so heartless, Leah shook his head and sighed. He hadn't expected Bruce to be this kind of Batman. He'd done something to someone, and then he wanted to capture them the next moment. Is this the legendary Ruthless? Pa. What a scumbag. Batman inside seemed to hear Leah's muttering, and with despair, he slapped his face. Why did I suddenly lose control of myself? How did someone just happen to catch me? What a shame, Batman lamented internally. Having promised Batman to capture Poison Ivy, Leah immediately flew out, arriving at Central Forest Park in a flash. The endless forest trees seemed relatively still, making any movement crystal clear. Naturally, the swift movement of a fiery figure caught Leah's attention. Wow! Leah flew straight over, dropping from the sky to block Poison Ivy's path. You, a lunatic! Poison Ivy erupted in curses upon seeing Leah blocking her path. A lunatic? Leah's face was itched with fury, especially since he had deliberately struck a striking pose, shattering the surrounding vegetation. However, due to a misunderstanding based on first impressions, no matter how impressive Leah's pose might have been, Poison Ivy saw him as a lunatic. You, a naked man, have the nerve to call me a lunatic, you lunatic! Leah's eyes unabashedly assaulted Poison Ivy's senses. Although in her past life, Poison Ivy had used plants as clothing, the Poison Ivy before her, perhaps because she had just experienced a thrilling battle, was now completely unrestrained. Being called a lunatic by Leah clearly displeased. It's natural and instinctive. Only filthy men like you who think with your lower body would mistake beauty for lust. Poison Ivy opened her arms, and plant vines suddenly grew. With a single swing, she lashed out at Leah. Leah remained undeterred, saying seriously, don't generalize, okay? I've always admired your natural beauty, and I absolutely have no ulterior motives. No matter how alluring Poison Ivy might be, it was enough to just watch. After all, she had just had an in-depth discussion with Batman about the origins of life, and Leah had no appetite to become the next one. The vine whipped towards Leah like a python. Leah reached out and grabbed it, then exerted a slight force. Your crime is, but you're under arrest. The third update is over. The Alliance Leader's extra chapter counts as the fourth, so there are 6 chapters left, and the Captain's 2 chapters, for a total of 8. The monthly votes, recommendations, and other rewards will be calculated after these 8 chapters are added. Anyway, the necessary chapters will definitely be added, and not a single chapter will be missed. So, don't stop with the monthly votes, recommendations, and subscriptions, and donate as many as you can. Chapter 145, 7-Star Prison. You have no right to arrest me, Poison Ivy screamed sharply, slamming her hands on the ground. Vines instantly sprouted from beneath Leah's feet, tugging at him tightly. This time, the vines were much thicker than before, covered in venomous spikes. However, no matter how the vines shrank, they couldn't penetrate Leah's skin. Leah stared at Poison Ivy silently, shaking his head. You were just peeping. Why aren't you poisoned, and haven't been cut by the vines? Having recently escaped from Arkham Asylum, Poison Ivy was unaware of Leah and his companion's existence, simply mistaking Leah for a freak with the ability to fly. Perhaps I should introduce myself. I'm an Avenger, the leader of the Justice League. As Leah spoke, his divine power erupted, easily shattering Poison Ivy's venomous. He stepped forward, grabbed Poison. He stepped forward, grabbed Poison Ivy, and, despite her desperate struggles, suddenly launched himself out. I don't care who you are, you can't arrest me. She's in danger. Poison Ivy frantically struggled to break free from Leah's grip, but no matter how hard she tried, she couldn't pry it loose. Who's in danger? What's going on? Hearing Poison Ivy's words, Leah became interested. It seemed like things weren't what he'd imagined. This wasn't just a simple museum heist. Indeed, why would Poison Ivy steal from a museum? But Poison Ivy refused to cooperate. She glared at Leah with resentful eyes. You're all in the same group. Justice League? You're all the same. No matter how Leah pressed her, she refused to utter another word. Leah didn't bother to intervene. He informed Batman that Poison Ivy had been apprehended and brought back to headquarters. Batman, naturally, had no objection and would come over after he finished his business. The Justice League's Earth headquarters naturally had its own prison for criminals. A few minutes later, at Justice League headquarters. Before being imprisoned in the Justice League prison, Poison Ivy had been in every kind of prison, and escaping prisons was a piece of cake. However, when Poison Ivy was imprisoned in the technologically advanced Justice League prison, she was completely stunned. Many people's first impression of prisons is dark, damp, emitting various unidentified pungent odors, and rusty cages. But the Justice League prison completely changed Poison Ivy's perception of prisons. The main color scheme here is a silvery white metallic finish. The vast space resembles the floor plan of a luxurious 7-star hotel. Each room is separated by opaque white glass, simulating various ecological environments tailored to the inmate's physiological needs. When Poison Ivy entered, the cell scanned her physical characteristics and transformed the room into a sunlit forest. She stepped on the soft, earthy floor of the cell, gazing at the fragrant, grassy forest surroundings. For half an hour, Poison Ivy was stunned. I hadn't imagined prison could be this luxurious. Who were the members of the Justice League? Angels? Not all criminals were eligible for imprisonment here. Those heartless murderers and psychopaths were first brought before the Three Sages Court and then sent directly to the Phantom Zone. Looking around, Poison Ivy suddenly thought, if only I could live here forever, and her eyes were immediately filled with worry and fear. Let me out. I can't be locked up here. Poison Ivy's previous prison escape experience was completely useless. She resorted to the most primitive method. Force her way out. With a low growl, she mustered all her strength to sprint outside, but before she could take a few steps, she slammed into an invisible wall. No matter how realistic the vast forest setting seemed, no matter how warm the earth and sunlight, it couldn't change the fact that this was just a 20-square-meter cell. Poison Ivy's first attempt failed, but instead of giving up, she rammed into it again and again. Her second impact with the cell wall triggered the defense mechanism, sending a warning bolt of electricity down, shocking her whole body and nearly knocking her unconscious. On the 9th floor, in the purple conference room, Leah was watching the surveillance footage of Poison Ivy's cell when Cyborg and Batman entered. Bat, our first inmate is a bit dishonest. Can you tell me what crime she's committed? Leah asked. Murder, theft, destruction of cultural relics. Batman walked to the conference table with unsteady steps and sat down with a thud. He supported his chin with both hands and continued, it's strange to say, the museum employee killed by Poison Ivy today doesn't seem to be simple. I asked Alfred to check their identities, Brown Simmons, Mickey Pollitt. They are agents of the AIE. Cyborg quickly showed his professional side. Based on the on-site photos and other information shared by Batman, he dug out the background of several people in minutes. Batman stared at Cyborg for a while with an expressionless face and asked, the AIE is a special department of the United States. You wouldn't? I tracked the recent whereabouts of several people from traffic surveillance, and then based on triangulation. That's right, I hacked into the AIE's intranet. Bat, I know this is a crime. If you want to accuse me, I am willing to bear all the consequences, Cyborg said seriously. Batman shook his head. I just wanted to say, well done, those guys in the Eye Society are more trouble than help. Don't take them too seriously. Leah felt the need to clarify the Justice League's position with Cyborg. When we, the Justice League, do things, only we can manage them. No one else can interfere. Understand? Cyborg's face was expressless, but Leah's words made him inexplicably excited. Could he really do whatever he wanted? Okay, back to the point. Leah sat at the top of the conference table. He asked Batman, when I caught Poison Ivy, she said she's in danger. Bat, do you know who she Poison Ivy was talking about? The last chapter was actually reported for violations. There wasn't anything illegal in it. Why did someone report it? Even cars going to kindergarten were reported. Would Akina Mountain's 18 Benz be 404 in the future? I'll start with 2 chapters at noon. If I have time, I'll add another chapter in the evening. If not, I'll make it up on the weekend. Please subscribe, vote for the monthly ticket, and recommend. Chapter 146, Her. Batman pondered this for a moment before speaking. Poison Ivy had virtually no contact with anyone before entering Arkham Asylum. Could the she's referring to be her attending physician or caretaker? Thinking of this possibility, Batman glanced at Cyborg. Cyborg, still absorbed in his own impulsive behavior, suddenly noticed Batman staring at him intently, his eyes filled with anticipation. What's wrong? Why are you looking at me like that? Cyborg scanned Batman's condition and discovered his hormone levels were above normal, further confusion growing on his face. What's going on? Leah, unsure of Cyborg's misunderstanding, explained, I think Batman wants you to hack into Arkham Asylum's intranet and find anyone who has had contact with Poison Ivy. Leah had already suspected that Poison Ivy's official partner was Harley Quinn, but he wasn't sure of the current timeline. Based on the information currently available, who knows which version of the story this was, further confirmation is needed. After hearing Leah's explanation, Cyborg realized he might have misunderstood Batman and placed his hands on the conference room table. This table, which could accommodate more than a dozen people, was actually a supercomputer connected to the main control room, allowing Cyborg to freely manipulate any device in the Justice League. Her caretaker's name is Harleen Quinzel. During a prisoner transfer a month ago, she escaped with Poison Ivy, but now Harleen Quinzel is using the alias Harley Quinn. Who else escaped with them? The Joker. Leah was almost certain that this was Harley Quinn helping the Joker escape. Cyborg nodded and continued, besides the Joker, there's Killer Croc. Killer Croc is one of Batman's adversaries. Born with an extremely rare atavistic disease, his teeth and nails have become sharp, and scales have continuously grown on his body, making his appearance increasingly crocodile-like. The scrutiny of the outside world and a lack of proper guidance have led Killer Croc further and further down the path of crime. Batman was surprised to hear that his old rival had also escaped Arkham Asylum. Killer Croc escaped too, and then hide away in a corner, keeping quiet? That's not like him. Cyborg, seemingly understanding Batman's meaning, said, "Let me see if I can find any trace of him, and the Joker and Harley Quinn," added. "Okay, the Joker and Harley Quinn, too," Cyborg repeated, then began searching Gotham City's traffic cameras, stores, and even ATM surveillance footage. Found it. A few minutes later, Cyborg uploaded the footage he had found onto the glass of the conference table. The first clip is of the Joker and Harley Quinn. It seems they arrive at a chemical plant, where the Joker pushes Harley Quinn into a chemical tank. Afterwards, Harley Quinn transforms from a seemingly normal person into a madman, just like the Joker, with a pale complexion and symmetrical red and blue hair. Batman snorted. What kind of person would get so close to the Joker? Given the Joker's illogical and insane mindset, I bet it won't be long before this girl is murdered by him. Batman fought the Joker for years, neither truly defeated the other. Even Batman's no-killing policy was influenced by the Joker's madness. This was bottom line, a line to avoid going as crazy as the Joker. Cyborg didn't know how to respond to Batman's question, so he could only play the second video. This is from Killer Croc. 20 days ago, Killer Croc robbed a beef factory. He was captured by a team of trained soldiers and taken away in a hidden government vehicle. Is it the Eye of Heaven? Leah asked. That's right. With our government access, we can only verify that it's the AOM's car. As for what they're doing with Killer Croc, I can't find any information. There's no record of it even on the AOM's internal network, Cyborg said, retracting the video. This confirmed Leah's suspicions. The AOM is capturing superpowered villains in order to establish Task Force X, commonly known as the Suicide Squad. As for Cyborg's inability to find any records of Task Force X, it simply means the plan hasn't been approved from above and is still in the planning stages. Amanda Waller is such a troublemaker. No, I need to talk to her. Leah immediately stood up and prepared to leave. Batman also stood up. I'm going to interrogate Poison Ivy. Leah had just stepped out of the conference room when, upon hearing this, he quickly retreated and solemnly warned, Bat, there's surveillance in the holding cell. You must stay calm, Batman. If looks could kill, Batman would have killed Leah right then and there. Leah didn't care how dark Batman's face had turned. She played a trick and quickly slipped away. The Eye of Heaven. Amanda Waller silently monitored the situation in the laboratory across from her through a piece of bulletproof glass. Inside, numerous doctors in white coats bustled about, along with a team of soldiers armed with tranquilizer guns and Killer Croc's neck. In fact, she implanted a similar microbomb in all of the reserve members of Task Force. Microbomb implantation procedure didn't take long. She had seen it performed many times before. Seeing that everything was going smoothly, she stopped watching. She turned and headed towards the holding cell. How's Dr. Moon doing now? Is she still a witch? Amanda asked a white man accompanying her. The white man replied, yes, a witch constantly wants to escape. Amanda sneered, I spent a fortune building her cell. No matter what superpowers or witchcraft, they're useless in there. The two of them arrived at a cell made of special materials. Inside was a woman with gothic smoky makeup. She exuded a thick black aura, her eyes empty and sinister. Chapter 147, Task Force X. The woman, June Moon, was once an archaeologist. During an expedition excavating an ancient Egyptian tomb, Dr. June Moon accidentally opened the seal containing the soul of an ancient sorcerer and became possessed by it. The entire team was drained of their life force, but Dr. June, the incarnation of the sorcerer's spirit, survived. Amanda led her men outside the prison, and the sorcerer slowly raised her head of black smoke and vanished. When she reappeared, she was in front of Amanda, slamming her claws against the custom-made glass of the cell. OMG, Amanda took a step back in fear. Although she knew the sorcerer couldn't break through the cell specially prepared for her, the sudden attack still made her hair stand on end. Compared to Killer Croc in the laboratory outside, this strange sorcerer was simply impossible to defeat with modern weapons. Fortunately, Amanda knew the sorcerer's weakness. Dr. Moon. Miss Witch. Enchantress, I don't know what to call you, but I hope you understand, I hold your heart. If you dare to scare me again, I will destroy it. Amanda held up the briefcase in her hand. Inside was the heart she had brought from the witch's grave, the witch's fatal weakness. After saying this, Amanda flipped a switch on the briefcase, and the sound of electricity echoed from within. Simultaneously, the witch in the cell seemed to be electrocuted. Strands of electricity appeared out of nowhere and pierced her body, leaving a green glow above the wounds, the witch's life force. With Amanda's heart in her grasp, the witch quickly calmed down, curling up and retreating to the far corner of the cell. If you listen to me, I'll release you. But don't even think about harming me. Once I'm dead, the pre-programmed program inside the briefcase will destroy your heart, and you won't survive. Think about it. When you figure it out, transform back into Dr. June Moon, Amanda said, then turned and left. She didn't want to kill Enchantress. After all, she was crucial to Task Force X, possessing the power of ancient sorcery. Government experts had concluded that mystical powers might be the only way to counter those Iron Men. A man followed, and together they took the elevator to Amanda's office on the top floor of the Sky Eye building. Opening the door, Amanda's pupils suddenly constricted. She saw a figure in a black battlesuit sitting in her office chair, feet propped up on the counter, looking calm and composed. Avengers, why are you in my office? Amanda's tone was filled with anger, her eyes wide as if they could spit fire. The man following Amanda instinctively raised his gun, but when he met Amanda Leah's eyes, his movements suddenly stopped mid-air. As the American Superpower Research Arm, the Sky Eye Society boasts a world-class security system. But in front of Leanne, this world-class security system is as childish and flawed as a child's play. Leah unhooked Amanda's desk, stood up, and looked at the two people at the door. Amanda, what the hell are you doing? I don't know what you're talking about, Mr. Avenger. Amanda tried to be more confident. Since Leah had come to accuse her, it must mean he knew something. Amanda simply played dumb. Leah snorted, why play dumb, Amanda? Those witches at Arkham Asylum are fine, but you can't control them. If you mess up, there's no way you can stop them. The government must be able to respond to various crises. Everything I do is for America's security, Amanda said, folding her arms. Response to various crises? What kind of crises can you handle? Leah smiled and shook his head. He had already obtained the information he needed this time. Although Amanda had lined the cell with lead, preventing Leah's X-ray vision from scanning the interior, she seemed to have forgotten to provide soundproofing. This meant that Leah had heard her conversation clearly. Amanda's eyes grew tense, and Leah didn't bother to argue further. You're on your own, Leah said, leaving the Sky Eye Society. According to his memories from his previous life, Enchantress was an evil wizard hell-bent on world domination. How could such an ambitious monster truly submit to a single person or organization? In other words, Amanda now held her heart in her grasp. If Enchantress found the opportunity, her first target would be Amanda Waller. Perhaps if Leah could just snatch the suitcase from Amanda and forcibly destroy the witch's heart, he could prevent the events that followed. But, after all, Leah wasn't a savior, he wouldn't resort to silent sacrifice. At an upscale club in Gotham City, the local gang leader was enjoying himself when a strange figure in a tuxedo, with green hair and blood-red lips, suddenly burst in. He entered the private room with his men and unleashed a barrage of machine gun fire. Da-da-da. Tongues of fire shot out, and the occupants didn't even have time to fight back before being riddled with bullets. In an instant, the once incense-filled private room was filled with a strong smell of blood. The gang leader and the young woman lay in a pool of blood. Pudding. Why did you kill them all again? Why didn't you leave one for me? Harley Quinn, brandishing a baseball bat graffitied with the Joker's image, stood in front of the Joker with a pout. Despite the chilly weather, Harley Quinn wore only a tight gray t-shirt and shorts that barely covered her bottom. Her long, slender, and seductive legs swayed in a way that was truly enticing. The Joker forced a smile at her, shaking his head in a maniacal voice, and said, "Dear Harley, I plan to take over Gotham's Mafia within 2 days. We have 2 more to go to tonight." With a sharp chin, he pointed at his followers and said, "Go call the members of the Rogues. Kill any who refuse to obey." Chapter 148, The Clown's Ambition. That night, the Joker raided nearly half of Gotham City's gangs. With near masterful skill, he slaughtered their top brass and quickly gathered their funds and members, forming a powerful underground force. This swift and decisive approach proved it was no stranger to the Joker. "Joker, why did you call us here? Don't tell me you're planning another fight against Batman. This is ridiculous." Gangs, now under his command. Upon seeing the Joker, some veteran gang members expressed doubts. After all, a year prior, the Joker had been defeated by Batman and sent to Arkham Asylum, where he remains. Hearing someone question him, the Joker's mouth, slashed open with a knife, open wide. "Deal with Batman? Ha ha ha. I think you've got the characters wrong." The Joker suddenly rushed over to the man, nuzzling his nose into his face and grinning. "I'm just a good guy who loves to help others. How could I possibly deal with Gotham City's hero, the Dark Knight? Instead, it's you, the parasites of society, the destroyers of order. Don't you think that eliminating you is Batman's top priority?" Being repeatedly called a parasite by the Joker infuriated the veteran gang member. "Don't dream, Joker. The world is different now. Back then, you couldn't even handle Batman, and now there's Superman and the Avengers. They're on Batman's side too. While the presence of Superman and the Avengers won't reassure these gang members, at least they've become more restrained than before. They won't take risks unless absolutely necessary." Bang! With the sound of a baseball hitting a target, Harley Quinn swung her bat and smashed it down on the veteran gangster's head. Caught off guard, the gangster was knocked to the ground. Everyone in the room stood up nervously, staring at the Joker and Harley Quinn in horror. "Sorry, my hand slipped, Mr. J. You won't blame me, will you?" Harley Quinn blinked and swung the bat again, hitting the man's head a few more times. All right, I suggest everyone calm down. Oh, could some kind gentleman please drag this poor guy out of here?" The Joker's gaze swept over the crowd, a sinister laugh escaping his lips. "I know the world has changed, but from what I've heard, those guys in the Justice League, like Batman, are cowards. How dare you be afraid of a bunch of cowards who wouldn't even kill?" Batman's no-killing policy only emboldened the Joker. For him, he could do anything he wanted, and if he failed, he'd just end up in Arkham Asylum. "So, what do you say, then?" The gang members remaining in the restaurant were a restless bunch. They knew Batman and his fellow superheroes didn't kill, so they'd long been tempted to commit crimes. A good job would bring them riches, but if they didn't, they'd just spend a few years in prison. Once they were released, they could continue their efforts to build their fortune according to the Constitution. After all, Gotham City has never lacked lunatics and criminals. Yes, that's the question I've been waiting for. We are going to kill Batman. Ha ha ha. The Joker clenched his fists and excitedly addressed the crowd. Gotham City has long been led astray by so-called heroes. Only by killing Batman can we restore Gotham City to its original state, a city that belongs to us. Kill Batman. Harley Quinn clapped her hands, holding up a baseball bat. The Joker stood in the middle of the crowd, raising his hands high. "We have the funds, we have the weapons. We have the army. We are going to kill Batman and then take over Gotham City." "Batman, take over Gotham City." The gangsters below joined in the chant. The next day, Lear was sitting in his office at the Justice League's Earth headquarters. His office was on the top floor, its north wall entirely made of single-pane glass. He had a large brown desk, and a projection screen near his chair. Lear was reviewing some information on ancient magic and witchcraft. Judging solely from the information the Justice League had gathered, magic in this world was still confined to the realm of myth and legend. Even Constantine, in the eyes of this world, was nothing more than a drunkard, a gambler, and a con man who dabbled in mystical tricks. Constantine was last seen by human civilization 2 years ago in London, England. Since then, no traffic cameras or convenience store surveillance have captured him. Leah felt a little disappointed. Constantine was an expert on magic and other things. If he could be found, he could help Leah solve many of her mysteries. Just then, Fiora and Kara arrived at Leah's office. Since the Justice League's Earth headquarters opened, Fiora and Kara had moved in. There were accommodations and living quarters for Justice League members, as well as a training area for these superhumans. Even the prison was built to 7-star standards, so the living conditions for members were naturally excellent. Kara and Fiora's rooms were infused with a wealth of Kryptonian technology, making them feel like they were still on Krypton. Generally, Fiora says, "I've mastered infantry combat. May I join the Justice League?" The infantry combat she was referring to was, of course, the basic martial arts of the Kryptonian military. Every Kryptonian soldier their training with this set of fighting techniques began. Kara, standing on tiptoe, barely half a head taller than the desk, gazed at Lee expectantly, as if to cry if she didn't agree. Lee, seeing Kara's expression, chuckled and casually said, "Kara is 1.5 meters tall." Kara, giddily surprised, pouted, and slammed the table, shaking the entire building. "Hey, are you letting me join the Justice League or not?" A crackle. Lee's desk crackled under Kara's slap. Lightning flashed a few times, and the projection on the screen began to blur, finally vanishing with a whoosh. Sorry, Kara realized she had done something wrong and looked at Lee furtively, wondering if he would scold her. "Fiola, get some intelligent machines over here and help me change the desk." Lee certainly wouldn't scold Kara for such a small matter. He stood up, walked over to Kara, patted her head, and asked, "If you want to join the Justice League, it's not enough to just learn infantry combat. You must possess a certain quality." "What quality?" "What quality?" Kara asked expectantly. "There will be 3 updates today, and 1 more in the afternoon. With the afternoon chapter updated, there are only 5 chapters left for the Alliance Leader and 2 for the Helmsman." Chapter 149, Little Supergirl Kara. Fiora, who had been standing by the doorway, immediately understood this. This was Leah trying to trick the little girl again. She shook her head and went downstairs to find the intelligent machine. "He's the epitome of a superhero." Before Leah could finish, Kara eagerly puffed out her flat chest. "I believe I possess all the qualities that Carl possesses. Please give me a chance to prove myself. That stinky bat always says I'm not ready, but I actually think I am." "You want to prove yourself? No problem, Kara. I think you could start with something small. Like, buy me a few pizzas from Mr. Cat's Magic Pizza in Metropolis." Leah never missed an opportunity to exploit a little girl. But Kara had clearly been tricked by Leah. She slapped Leah's hand away, refusing. "I refuse. The bat says you can't bother others with things you can do yourself." Damn Bruce Wayne. He actually said that to Kara. Could it be that he also has feelings for her? "Pa. You stinking jerk. And, why did I say also?" Countless flash thoughts through Leah's mind in an instant. He shook his head, dispelling the more illicit ones. "How about this? I'll walk you around the city and see if there's anything I can help with." Leah silently prayed that since Superman's global flight, the crime rate in Metropolis, downtown Gotham City, had plummeted. Kara didn't care about the crime rate. She was thrilled to hear she could go out on patrol. "Really? Carl told me I can't go out without permission, especially not to show off my abilities. He's just worried you won't be able to control your abilities and hurt someone." "It's okay. I'll be with you." Kara won't say anything. "Besides, Kara, you're my cousin. According to seniority, Clark should listen to you," Leah said. After Leah's reminder, Kara poked her chin with her hand. "Yes, I'm your cousin. My mom asked me to take care of Carl, so, let's go." "Kara, can you fly?" Leah remembered that 2 months ago, Kara could only float about a meter in the air. She wondered what she had learned in 2 months under Fiora's guidance. This time, Kara didn't answer. Instead, she slowly floated up to the window. "I've mastered the art of flying," Leah sighed regretfully. If Kara hadn't been able to fly, he'd have wanted to carry Supergirl out for fun there to try. After all, Gotham City had a higher crime rate than other cities, especially with a lunatic who had just escaped from an asylum. Leah and Kara flew over Gotham City together. "Kara, close your eyes and listen carefully to the sounds below." "No, it's too loud down there," Kara said, covering her ears and frowning. "You have to focus, really focus. Your super brain can process all the sounds. All you have to do is calm down and listen." Following Leah's guidance, Kara slowly slowed her breathing, closed her eyes, and listened carefully to the sounds of Gotham City. Suddenly, countless sounds flooded Kara's ears. Car horns, the sound of brakes, the shouts of those who couldn't catch the bus, the voices of pedestrians answering their phones. Countless chaotic sounds echoed in Kara's mind, her super brain subconsciously accelerating information processing, like a supercomputer running at full power. I heard it. Kara's eyes snapped open, her fists clenched as she dove, flying down the street below. Gotham City, West 20th Street. A woman in sky-high heels spoke rapidly on the phone, completely oblivious to the red light across the street. Beep, beep. At that moment, a large truck barreled toward them, its driver frantically honking his horn, but the young woman remained oblivious, continuing her excited conversation. Damn it. This stupid woman is really desperate, swerved, trying to avoid the woman who ran the red light. But just then, a school bus approached. Almost instantly, the two vehicles were about to collide. Just as a catastrophic accident loomed, the bus suddenly lurched and flew away from the truck driver. Oh my God. What the hell is going on? Passers-by noticed what was happening, averting a catastrophic accident. Look, there's a little girl under the bus. She's wearing the same outfit as Superman, Supergirl. She's Supergirl. Gotham City Traffic Police intervened and gave the girl a good scolding for disobeying traffic rules. Kara then slowly lowered the bus. Many pedestrians gathered around, some taking photos, some tweeting. Amidst the crowd's praise, Kara contentedly soared into the sky, disappearing from view. Kara, how did it feel? Leah approached Kara and asked her what she thought of her first attempt. I felt really happy, especially when looked at me with admiration. It was so satisfying. Kara beamed as she told Leah about her feelings, like a child who had found a fun toy. Leah, I want to continue. Kara felt everyone unsatisfied and wished she could immediately become a superhero like Superman. Then continue, Kara, keep listening to the whole city. Kara listened to Leah's words and nodded seriously, then closed her eyes again and began to filter various sound information. A moment later, Kara suddenly opened her eyes flashing with an extremely dazzling anticipation. Leah, I think I heard Gotham Bank was robbed by gangsters. Leah nodded. He also heard it, and seemed to hear a delicate female voice calling out, putting in MR. That was Harley Quinn's special nickname for the Joker. More chapters, a total of 7 chapters left. Please subscribe, please vote for the monthly ticket, please recommend. Chapter 150, Cute Law Enforcer. Gotham City Bank. The Joker, accompanied by his newly recruited henchmen, stormed into the bank and unleashed a barrage of machine gun fire. The bullets rattled everyone in the lobby, sending screams of terror through the air. The suited bank manager behind the counter dashed to the emergency button the moment the gang entered. Every bank has a direct link to the police. A tuxedo. Sir, are you thinking of calling the police? Ha ha ha. But don't you think calling the police is completely useless? Instead of relying on those useless Gotham City police, it's better to go to Batman directly. The Joker twirled his pistol with one hand, then suddenly pressed the black muzzle against the bank manager's forehead, grinning. Robbery. The bank manager threw up his hands in fear and backed away. The Joker raised his gun and fired a barrage of shots at the ceiling. Bang! 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 Several gunshots echoed through the bank lobby, and trembled in fear, staring at the madman with horrified eyes. Everyone, get down on your knees, hands over your heads, and hand over your phones. I advise you everyone not to make any small moves, or my friends will use their guns to blast you to pieces. Harley Quinn placed a teddy bear backpack on the ground and opened it. Inside, the adorable backpack was surprisingly packed with bombs. Someone, help me place bombs around the bank. When Batman arrives, we can bomb him into a roasted bat. Anyway, how long until Batman gets here? It's already 2 minutes. She nonchalantly tossed the bombs from the backpack to her gang members, instructing them to attach them to the pillars of the bank. The bank robbery was just a cover. The Joker's real goal was to lure Batman here, detonate the bombs, and bury him and these innocent people in the Gotham City Bank. Kara and Lee landed at the entrance of the Gotham City Bank. Leah, please don't do anything this time. Leave it to me, okay? Kara said in a coquettish tone, her eyes twinkling. She was worried that if Leah took action, she would be in trouble. After all, a criminal gang made up of ordinary people was no match for Leah. How should I know? No one has ever shot at me, so it shouldn't be a problem, Kara said weakly. Leah raised his wrist and flicked his finger at Kara's forehead. Bang! There was a muffled sound, and the little girl covered her forehead with her hands and cried out in pain. Her eyes were quickly covered by a layer of mist, and she glared at Leah with puffed cheeks. "Why did you flick my head?" Leah completely ignored the little girl's protests and pried Kara's hand away, finding that her forehead was only a red mark. So she said with confidence, "Well, you can defend yourself against bullets. That idiot who claimed to be the Man of Steel had a dent on his forehead after I flicked him like that." He was referring to Tony Woodward, the Metal Man, the idiot who had clamored for a duel with Leah, but was made to question his life by a flick of Leah's finger. After hearing Leah say that she could withstand bullets, Kara was so happy that she instantly forgot about Leah flicking her forehead. "Then I'm going in. You are not allowed to interfere. Just watch from the side." Kara walked towards the Gotham City Bank with a serious face, not forgetting to turn back and remind Leah not to interfere. "Don't worry, I won't steal your limelight." Leah waved her hand, motioning her to go in quickly. After the Jokers occupied the Gotham City Bank, they closed the door. When Kara stood at the door of the Gotham City Bank, she suddenly didn't know what to do next. After pondering for a moment, she stretched out her delicate little hand, knocked on the door, and called out, "Hey, is anyone in there? Can I come in?" That serious expression was truly adorable. "Little Supergirl, just kick the door down. There are criminals in there, don't be polite with them," Leah shouted from behind. A crowd of onlookers had already gathered outside the Gotham City Bank to intervene, but they were surprised to see them send a 13 or 14-year-old girl. Their interest was immediately piqued. "Is this the Avenger's daughter? So cute, she doesn't look like a daughter. She's probably a sister or something. Oh my god, is it too late for me to call the Avenger's brother-in-law now?" "Yes, but I think the Avengers will kill you on the spot." The onlookers were engaged in a heated discussion, many already recording with their phones. It seemed that soon, Gotham City news would be all over the news with the adorable little law enforcement girl. Leah's warning reminded Kara that there were vicious criminals inside. Her face flushed, and she cautiously stepped back. "Then I'll just barge in." Before she finished speaking, Kara swung her fist, smashing it against the Gotham City Bank's door. Boom! It had two panes of transparent glass in the middle, which even a bullet wouldn't be able to penetrate. But Kara only swung her fist, and the heavy alloy door trembled violently. 1.5 meters above the ground, a huge hole suddenly exploded, as if it had been hit by a bomb. Creak. A second later, the entire door collapsed. Supposedly cute little girl? Why she was so ferocious? After smashing down the bank door, Kara worried for a second whether she would have to pay for it. But then she thought, Leah seemed quite wealthy, so she could just ask him to pay for it. At worst, she could just act like a spoiled brat. With this thought in mind, Kara entered the Gotham City Bank. The Jokers inside had assumed that with the door broken open, Batman would be the one entering. But after a moment, a small girl, about 1.5 meters tall, entered. Wow! This little girl is so adorable, like a doll. Harley Quinn blocked Kara's escape route, gazing at her with delight. With her fair skin, blonde hair, and large, watery eyes, Kara was indeed cuter than a doll. The Joker pursed his lips, somewhat displeased, and approached, followed by several burly men with guns. "Little girl, this isn't a masquerade. Did you come to the wrong place?" Kara was annoyed by these people calling her little girl. She assumed the starting stance of her infantry combat technique and said seriously, "Humph, I'm not in the wrong place. I'm here to arrest you." End of this chapter. Thank you so much for reading until the end. Don't forget to give it a like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription or donation encourages us to continue. Thank you all. See you in the next video.